The timing of this is absolutely incredible.
It's great. Well, Nick, I wanted to ask you a question. So, with what's going on in the world, how do we stop the war in your eyes? Like, how do we stop what's going on? There's a multiple wars going on, right? So, in your eyes, what do we do to stop the war? Now, I know you are going to probably be like, let's get rid of Israel, but it's obviously, no? Okay, so what do you...
Just got to cut the aid. There is a genocide going on in Gaza, and it's horrible. That's what they destroyed half the infrastructure. They probably killed hundreds of thousands with the famine and everything. It's just not moral. We got to cut the aid. If you cut the aid, the war stops. But the other thing is, Israel wants to bring us into a war with Iran and Hezbollah. It's going to unroll in phases. It's going to unravel first Hamas, then Hezbollah, then Iran. They want to do regime change in Iran, and they want us to do it. They've wanted it for 20 years, specifically Netanyahu. We got to cut the aid. If Israel is dependent on our money and our military, then we should call the shots and say, your war ends now. There's going to be a Palestinian state. You're not going to decapitate the Iranian regime, and that's it. In Russia, you got to say that Ukraine will never join NATO and allow Russia to maintain its sphere of influence with Belarus, Ukraine, Central Asia. It's a multipolar world, and they should have their slice of it. They get a vote, and we're going to lose this war in Ukraine if we don't. So I think that's how you solve it. And that, I think Trump would do the latter. I think Kamala may do the former, although you're probably right. She'd probably give Israel their war anyway.
So who do you think is the revolutionary that you want in 2028?
They haven't announced themselves yet. I don't know who it would be. And it would be... the problem is... Okay, go ahead.
No, go ahead. No, my bad. My bad, bro. Go ahead.
Yeah, I don't think there is anybody that's really good, And here's the thing. Trump in 2016, let's be very clear. He said, let's end the wars. Let's build a wall. Let's make America great again.
Did he do it?
And... No, he didn't, but he didn't because he hired establishment Republicans and they sabotaged it. Now, he should have come back and said, I'm only going to hire loyalists. I'm only going to hire America Firsters, but he's not doing that now. And so what you have is he's talking about stapling green cards to diplomas. That means mass immigration. He's threatening a war with Iran. And so for that reason, I'm saying, as a conservative, as an America Firster, he lost me. He became another Republican. So, but looks like Andrew Tate's here. So we can introduce him.
Hi, guys. I'm just sorting out my tech. You can hear me and see me?
Yes, sir. I like your new background and the new camera, maybe. Oh. Looks good.
Well, thank you very much. Thank you. Are you still on drugs, Adin?
No, I'm not. How's your case going?
Oh, well, I am a rapist, as you saw. I saw that on Twitter. You said I was a rapist. But, I'm kind of leaning into it now. I'm a human trafficker. It's how I got so rich. How did you get that Bugatti? I human traffic. When they come up to me with the TikToks, what's your job? I'm like, I human traffic. That's what I do. So I have no problem with you saying that. In fact, I kind of like the rumor. It's kind of cool. Street cred.
But it was a joke. I know you're not a rapist.
No joking. No joking. Don't make me rape your mom. Don't make me do it. I'll find her ass and I'll make it real. Well, so stick to your words.
You can't leave the country, so that's impossible.
I will human traffic your mother, Adin. Don't fuck with me.
How? You can't even leave the country.
Yet. The case is falling apart in real time, and I need some new, some new spice in my life. They've only raided my house 4 times. I wake up at 5 a.m. every morning expecting the busting with guns, and when they don't, I'm kind of like... you're making your coffee a little bit sad. You got that sad look on your face aw, I thought they cared about me. They don't care about me anymore. It's kind of funny. They used to think I was the biggest problem on the internet when I said women couldn't drive. But now everyone knows women can't drive and everyone just agrees with it. So it's just oh, fuck it, let him off. So now I just keep winning in court. Fun's over. I need to up the game. I had to do something else. The whole point of life is to explore the map of the world, right? What better level to the map than a Romanian dungeon? It's cool.
Well, congrats on getting your cars back. It's $40 million worth of vehicles returned.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you. So, yeah, they even gave me my shit back. Where's the fun now? I am so over this case. People keep asking me about it, and they're like, oh, hey, Andrew, it's been a while. How's the case? Do you guys have any idea what it's like to go to court in Romania? I don't even know what they're fucking saying. I don't even know what's going on. I haven't read my indictment. I haven't read any of it. This whole 3-year saga I've not read any of it. I don't know what I'm accused of properly. It's just like going through the motions. It's like either put me in jail or let me go. It is what it is at this point. I feel like just saying, Your Honor, you weren't there. So move to dismiss all charges, please. But I don't think that would work in a legal defense. If I spoke Romanian, that's what I'd say. But I don't. So I'm either going to go to jail or I'm not. But it looks like I'm not. So they gave me all my stuff back. So I'm richer. And it is what it is. What about you guys? What have you all been up to?
Chilling.
I saw you debating I saw some little homo earlier on your show. Who is he?
He wants to debate you next.
Oh, of course he does. Who doesn't want to fucking debate me? He wants relevancy. What's his worldviews? What does he think?
Kamal over Trump. He believes that homosexuality is not morally bad. What were the other ones?
He thinks that Kamala's better on immigration. He thinks that being gay is good. He thinks that transgenderism is good.
You know, this is one of the only things I disagree with Nick on, because Nick, I actually agree with 99% of the things you say. But don't you kind of feel like when you see little dickheads like that the white people just deserve to lose their country? Don't you just kind of look and go, I mean, I'm brown, right? So I'm on both things. But I just kind of look and go, yep, that's why you're fucked. That's why we're going to keep coming. We're going to fuck your women. We're going to give them babies. We're going to keep walking across the border. You ain't going to do shit. Oh, wait, look, who's the defenders of your race? Who's the men who are going to stand up and defend us? And you got this dipshit. Then please come destroy us. It's like, what the fuck do you want?
True. Well, that's why all the defenders of white people aren't even white. I'm Mexican. They all point that out. They're like, this guy's actually Mexican. And it's true. It's like, who stands up for white people? You, SNEAKO, me, Zerko, who's Albanian. It's like Myron, who's Sudanese. And I'm like, I'm waiting for like the blonde-haired, blue-eyed guy to save us. But you get these people like that guy who was just on here. They're all pro-gay.
It's very interesting how it's the psychology of just begging for the decimation, hoping that they'll be eaten last by the crocodile. They think if I'm a big enough of a cuck, then they'll keep me as a little serf. They'll keep me as a little slave. And not understanding that the majority of white people are already marginalized in a country you're in the majority of. What's going to happen when you're fucking the minority? It's over. It's fucking over. It's over. SNEAKO and I disagreed about this when I was saying that race is super real. It is, because humans are tribal. Humans are tribal, and I'm telling you, that's how it works. If you don't think humans are tribal, sir, SNEAKO, go to fucking jail. And you'll see right away how tribal it is. You'll see this group, that group, this group, that group. Humans are tribal. So when you have a country like America where you have so much hatred towards white people, which has been instigated and pushed via the propaganda machine and via the educational system, they're currently a majority, but they're soon going to become a minority because they don't reproduce and the borders are wide open and little dickheads like whoever that was are begging for it. The future is bleak for the white man. It's true.
Well, I've never
and I say that as a brown man. The future is bleak. It's easy to see.
I've always agreed with Nick that race is real. That debate can never really be won. Race is real, but I don't believe that any race is superior to another race. And I don't think that's something that you disagree with as well. I think the wording of your tweet was a little bit, and it seemed like you understood why that it's saying that white supremacy is white supremacists are totally right, why that's incorrect. I don't think that white people are better than black people. And there's a lot of people on Twitter, maybe I'd have never said that Nick was a white supremacist either. Nick wants to have a debate about this as well, but I don't think that any race is superior to another.
Well, he fucking better be a white supremacist because he looks white to me, so you better fucking be. I don't know what kind of cuck you have to be to not believe you're the baddest motherfucker on the planet anyway.
Your mic went out. Oh. Hello?
Can you hear me?
Now we do. It just the last part we didn't hear.
I think being mixed race is the ultimate human. I think being hybrid is the best possible existence. If you're white and you're not a white supremacist, then you're fucking gay. And if you're black and you're not a black supremacist, then you're gay. I believe being mixed race is the perfect possible way to be. I love being a day walker. I'm black in jail. I'm white in court. I can do whatever I need to do. It's great. I don't see why you'd be anything else. And when the tweet I made was saying race is super real and that white supremacists are right, they're being replaced and that their life is going to become very difficult, they are. That's completely true. I also believe that cultures are real, and I also believe that cultures derive actions and they derive certain habits from people. I believe that there's a culture in Congo which is different than the culture in the West. So you can sit and say white people act a certain way, black people act a certain way, or you can pussy out and say it's cultural, but that's the reality of it. And I also do believe, I'll tell you right now, I'll say it. Black people we're better athletes. Just the truth. Look at the NFL. Look at the NBA. We're better athletes. White people are more organized. Bro, take it from me. It's the reality of the game. I live with white and black people in my house. Half my family's black, half my family's white. I'm not saying one's better than the other. What's better depends on the scenario. You can't say if you're white, you should be saying white people are the best. If you're black, you should be saying black people are the best. But for me, I'm just sitting there saying, well, it depends on the scenario. If I'm in the Sahara, or if I'm going to have a street fight, or if I'm in the desert or whatever, then I want to have all my black friends with me. If I have to go through my legal paperwork, I want my white friends with me. All my black guys are like, this is long. Just tell the judge, just go jail, bro. Fuck it. Like, so there's different attitudes towards things. My tweet was pretty clear, I thought. My tweet was that white supremacists are right. They have a huge problem in their nations. Pretending you don't is the surest path to destruction. And white people pretending they don't are the biggest fucking traitors of all, which is what I tweeted. That the white man's problem is not the black man as much as it is the fucking treasonous cowards on their side. They're being betrayed by their fellow man, and mostly they're betrayed by their women. The white women are betraying the race completely. Take it from me. Because they don't give a fuck. They don't give a shit. So the white women are betraying the race.
You said white supremacists are totally right. I think they're wrong about outsourcing the blame on a lot of people. The blame will be about the Zionists, will be about the Jews, will be about the blacks that are coming in. I think there needs to be more self-accountability from white people, especially the ones that want re-immigration and all these things to say, well, why is the birth rate declining? Is it because everything else is outsourced? Or do we need to blame ourselves for these problems?
I don't think it's wrong to blame. You have to place the blame because the problem is we are being told by outsiders that we're racist and we're being disarmed by these things. And I don't know if it's even necessarily blame. Like when I look at immigration, you can understand why desperate people want to come to America and Europe. Of course they want to come here. We have better stuff. They don't like the Constitution. They don't like America. They don't like liberalism. They like welfare. They want housing. They want healthcare. And you get it. But there is clearly a reason why they're coming in. And it is true that white people are a big part of it, but there is also an active subversion. And like the first political act is to decide who's on your team and who's not on your team. And if we could say that the immigrants are not on our team because they want to come here and we don't want them here. And if you could say that the liberal white people aren't on our team because they're letting them in, you could also say that there's subversive elements like the Zionists or like liberal Jews, like Soros and others, that are poisoning the well, poisoning the culture, bringing in the immigrants. And it's really more about identification. But I do agree, there is a spiritual crisis. It does derive from, like Andrew said, white people are afraid of their own shadow. We're afraid of ourselves. We're afraid to say white supremacy because whites did dominate the globe for 500 years and did subordinate all the people and oppress all the people. And now we're sort of volunteer. It's like Andrew said, taking the back seat and saying, yeah, come on in, let it all happen. And so to the extent that we have to blame ourselves, we need to have a spiritual revival to say, white people can be active too. White people aren't going to be bossed around by women. They're not going to be told they're racist by minorities. They're not going to be neutered with these guilt trips, Holocaust museums and slavery museums and this and that. And I think that's why it's better to say white supremacy, even if it's not technically, I don't think people are inherently better or worse. But it's like, yeah, we're the shit. Yeah, we run shit. We went to the moon. We built everything. We created the world. White people are afraid to say that because it might offend the other. But the other's not afraid of offending us. They don't give a shit. And it's going to be South Africa, like Andrew said. If it's bad now, if there's grievance and resentment-based politics against whites now, what'll it look like when we're in the minority and they're running the government, they're running the institutions? They're going to kill us. They're going to kill us, take our shit. They're going to realize they messed up, and they're going to try and bring us back. That's what happened in Zimbabwe.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's exactly what's going to happen. It's kind of interesting because if all the white people, if black people say we want a black-only town, cool. If the white people say we want a white-only town, there's a mental breakdown. And the reason there's a mental breakdown is because people know that white-only town will be a place everyone wants to go. So they'll say, why are we not allowed in? That's the reality of it. If you don't believe humans are tribal, then you're a fool. That's the reality of how it works. And as for talking about blaming others, when you go to battle, you have to identify the traitors amongst you plus your enemy. There are people who are deliberately trying to subvert Western nations, and they're trying to do it on purpose. And they're trying to thin the culture to the point where the only thing there is to do is chase money because they have the money. This is very interesting. I live in Romania, right? It's 98% white and it's 98% Romanian. Everyone's Romanian here. Even when it's a poor country, but it's very safe. You can walk the street, you can I drove a $5 million car, or wear $1 million watch, it's very safe. Why is that? Well, if you say to a Romanian, why do you think Romania is safe? They say, well, Romanians don't hurt Romanians. That's how they think, right? I'm not Romanian, but that's just their general attitude. And the culture's thick. It's unified by lots of things. All the people speak the same language. They watch the same TV shows. They have the same Christmas. They eat the same food. They have the same upbringing. They know each other, blah, blah, blah. America has none of that left. There's nothing that unifies us, not even a sense of history. We have different versions of history, and everyone disagrees on who's good, who's bad. Any opinion you have in America, there's a group of people who want you dead for it. It's bullshit. So the only thing that unifies is come to America, get rich. That's all there is. In all the Western world, come get rich, which is fine, except people aren't getting rich anymore. So this is why it's all fucking falling apart. Plus, the people who want that to happen are the people who have all the money. So that everyone's just chasing what they have because that puts them more valuable, right? If I have all the money, I want everyone to chase my money. So we're not even, if you look at a country like America, they're not even trying to make people have a base belief and respect for the country anymore. At least in Dubai, which everyone goes to. Because you want to talk about immigration, you can talk about Dubai. Dubai is 80% immigrants. And there's no racism and there's no problems. Well, that's because everyone turns up and they behave themselves because they're shit scared. 2, they feel lucky to be there. 3, yes, they get money. But the first 2 are respect for the law. And secondly, they feel lucky to be there. Nobody in Dubai talks bad about Dubai. Nobody. You can't find one. Try. Because they respect the place. Yeah. America's now fallen to such disarray. There's no respect for it. When I go to America, it just looks like a fucking dump. I'm from Romania. I live in Romania. It looks better than America. So, like, if America wants to pull off this immigration thing, that's fine. But you need to fix all your infrastructure. You need to have people respecting the place. You need to have people respecting the flag, no matter what. Or you need to be instantly deported. You need to have something that unifies people. At least be unified behind the flag. If you're not unified by anything else, if you're not unified by race, religion, culture, whatever, you need to have something. What does America got? We can make money. That is it. So, what's going to happen when the money dries up? Well, look at the democratic cities. You'll see what happens when the money dries up. Everyone's doing drugs because they believe that they're some fucking rock star. Why? We talk about, this is very interesting because we talk about poverty making people do drugs. I live in the poorest country in Europe. There's no drugs. So what America has this, its Achilles heel, its strength and weakness is the same thing. It's this individualism. That's why you have so many fantastic entrepreneurs. That's why you have so many fantastic athletes. It's true. But it goes the other way. When you tell every single dipshit he's special, then he deserves a special existence. And if he doesn't get it, he ends up on fucking heroin. You don't have these problems in other countries because not everyone's told they're special. You think fucking Ching Chang in China's told he's special? Work in the factory, sir. That's your life. Cool. Done. So, like, America has these huge cultural issues. And the more tribalized it gets, the worse it is going to be for white people. And the reason I'll actually say that is because I think the white people they're constrained by their tolerance to the point where they're neutered. They have no balls. They have no balls left. And it's a power vacuum. And the power vacuum is going to be filled. That's what's going to happen. White people are least likely to be violent. They're the least likely to riot. The least likely to complain. If they do something, it's done in such an organized, nice way that nobody gives a shit. So it is what it is. How do we expect this trend to end besides the decimation of the white race? It's pretty obvious for me to see. I'm saying as a brown man, this is just obvious to see. Plus, the game's not fair. And the game's not fair because a lot of this comes down to reproduction. And the beautiful thing that built the Western countries that we want to live in, everyone wants to live in a Western country, everybody, is get married, have a family. Yeah, I agree. But then you can't outcompete the people who turn up and just breed. I'll say it right now as a brown man myself. I got 7 fucking baby mothers. How you going to beat me? I'm the repopulator. You can't. See, something has to be done. But if you're not even going to discuss it, you're not even going to discuss the issue, then it's fucking over. It's over. Now, we can have a different conversation about whether the world will be a nicer place when everyone's brown or whether it's a better place, blah, blah, blah. But I don't think we can debate that white people are going to go extinct in the next 100 years. I think that's pretty obvious for anyone to see. Isn't it?
Yeah, I totally agree. That's, I was at Charlottesville. I was at January 6th, all that stuff. And it's like, You know, for years they called it a conspiracy theory. You call white genocide, white replacement. It's obviously what's going on. It's only happening in white countries. It's non-white people from Africa, Asia, Latin America, in the global south moving north. They come to our countries. They have a higher fertility rate. And they, you know, sometimes they call it population refreshment. Okay, well, that's a semantic difference. We're not having kids. They want to bring in the immigrants to make up the difference. Eventually, they're going to outnumber us. In Canada, they like doubled the population with immigrants. It's like all Asians there. It happened in 20 years. It's totally insane. And then you have the political effect of then the majority wields the power. In a democracy, in a country that isn't colonial or a dictatorship, the more non-whites you have, they're going to exert their own ethnic or political self-interest. They're going to run our stuff. It's just a natural conclusion. And for years, they said, well, if you say that fact and it's a math equation, you're racist, you're a conspiracy theorist, you're a white nationalist. And there's like a special, it's like you said, the game is rigged. For years, if you talk about it, they censor you. On Facebook, they said white separatism, white nationalism. If you are those things, you can't be on Facebook and Instagram. Well, guess what? That's the means of communication. If you want people to know something or think something, you have to be on Instagram and Facebook, or one of the big ones. And they are the biggest ones. Facebook's like 3 billion users, Instagram's over 1 billion. They take you off if you say that. And it was like that on Twitter. It is like that on YouTube. You can't even get the word out. And then, of course, we know that if you do try to come together politically in spite of that, like in Germany, they have the AfD, which says we're going to remigrate all the immigrants, then they just ban them from running. They start arresting the leaders. And I know a lot of them. You know a lot of them, Andrew. You know Thierry Baudet in Netherlands, and there's Dries van Langenhoven in Belgium, and AfD is one of the good ones in Germany. When they start to win, they just start arresting them and throw them out. And it's like, you really do have to come up with like a sophisticated plan, but it starts with the conversation to bring people in and get people thinking our way on this to address the crisis. Because like you said, like it, love it, indifferent, in 100 years, it's a math equation. There's going to be very few white people globally. There's going to be a lot of Africans, a lot of Indians, some Asians, some Hispanics. That's going to be your world. And it's like, if you like the world that Africa is, you're going to love the world in 2100 because there'll be 4 billion of them. And if you like the world that Europe used to be and America was, well, you're going to hate it in the future because there'll be 20% of the population here, 20% of the population in Europe, and it's just not going to be the same. And people don't realize that. All this DEI, you know, refugee crisis, migrant stuff, this is just going to be life. There's no white flight. You can't get away from it. If you try to create a little polity, it's like, good luck. They're going to drop bombs on it. You know, it's like in South Africa. South Africa, they have a small community called Orania of ethnic Dutch Boers, the white people that used to rule the country. There's like 2,000 people there. They're trying to get 10,000, 20,000. But it's like, what happens if the black African government just decides to drop bombs on them with fighter jets? They're done. So it's like, how do you build a state within a state? It's a very complex problem, and you're not even allowed to talk about it without immense stigma. I talk about it, people say, you're Mexican, you're mixed race. It's like, you're literally mixed race, and you don't need to be white to say, this is factually, indisputably, undeniably what's happening, and this will be the result. So,
this visual's pretty funny, though, because right now you can see the Jews got 3 minorities doing the content for him. I
didn't even see.
He's getting... But no, I mean, I agree with all of that. Just that the major disagreement is just that some of these, a lot of these people are shills. They come in and they pretend to care about the white race, and I'm sure you've seen it, and there's been disagreements on Twitter about who's a Fed and who's not. A lot of these people are hired to go and stir up division within the Western countries. They don't actually care about the white race. They don't care about the countries. They're getting paid. And I don't think that we should follow these people. So when it comes to the idea of white supremacy, we got to be careful about who we follow, because I think a lot of these people are contributing to the division more than they're saying anything right.
Well, I'm quite Darwinistic. My worldview is quite Darwinistic. I'll be honest with you. When I highlight these things and say these things, it's because it's obvious. I mean, it doesn't mean I like it. It doesn't. I'm not even emotionally invested in it. It's just true. I don't actually give a shit that much because I'm brown passing. I pass for the other team, so it's fine for me. I'm just pointing out because it's obvious as fuck. And I'm not going to sit here and be a person who denies reality. But I'm quite Darwinistic about these things. I'll be honest with you. When I saw that little homo you guys were talking to earlier, I look at it and go, yep. I mean, I know it's easy for me to say, but if the white man's going to allow this to happen, then I guess it's just the plan. I guess that's just how it's all going to work out. Some people go extinct. You should have got some claws. Like, I'm not here to try and, I'll point it out because it's obvious. But this is what's happening. And then when you talk about how when you highlight these things, you're attacked. They'll attack Nick for being Mexican. Nick's whole life has been derailed for telling the truth, as has mine. You talk about AFD getting arrested. Yeah, I know all about it. They fucking busted my door down. They didn't bust my door down when I had a webcam studio. Oh no, they didn't give a fuck. When I talked about the truth online, they busted my door down for my old webcam studio. Bro, it's all fucking bullshit. So I know all about these things. But when you say this, then it's interesting because I say these things online. I did a tweet that went mega viral where I said it's over for white people. You're not having babies. I did some big tweet. The amount of butthurt bullshit. All these white people are like, yeah, well, fuck off, nigger. You're getting butthurt. I'm like, bro, I'm trying to fucking help you losers. Like, what do you want? Then just go extinct. Then just fuck off. Because your women don't give a shit. Your women are chasing brown men all day. Trust me. So, like, it's interesting. I'm observing it as it's an interesting observation. But you'd be a fool and a liar to try and pretend that Western countries as we know them and the things we love about Western countries isn't going to change when all of the people fucking change. You're a dumbass to pretend that's not the case. It's going to be a completely different place. Completely different world. It's not the geography, it's the people in it. I think that's pretty obvious for anyone to see. And I also think I've never had a conversation with anyone who's on the other side of this debate, really. I've never debated anybody, blah, blah. But, I mean, aren't all their positions super hypocritical? Because they all live in the West. Don't these people all live in the West? They never go back to wherever. So doesn't everyone just agree with this? Like, isn't this just calling water wet? I don't know. I don't know. Maybe there's a counter argument I haven't heard, but to me, it's pretty fucking clear.
Yeah. Where I agree with Nick and why I like the America First movement so much is how much he incorporates the idea of God, which I see lacking from a lot of white supremacists. And since I started getting into the space, I'm sure you've seen it, Nick. The Groypers have gone back and forth with the Wignats. I'm sure you've seen that, Tate. These people, they get on there and they just yell slurs. And I don't think they help at all. I think that they make the movement look kind of stupid, and they make people discredit what should happen and how we need to bring back some sort of traditional values in the West. But America First, Nick's movement and all, I mean, even then, of course, what Tate has been talking about for 2 years, you've done a good job of making people realize what we're supposed to do and bringing the idea of God back. And so I like to see that more, and I want to see that more from a lot of these white supremacists. They don't speak about that as much. It seems like a lot of them would rather worship their skin color rather than worship God.
Well, I think religion's the only thing that can mediate the differences in race, because Andrew's right that it is Darwinistic and people are tribalistic. And in a vacuum, I think without a kind of universal religion, everyone's just going to kill each other. It's going to be a race war. And that's what history really is. I mean, even with religion, history is a race war. And you could say that religion kind of overlaps with that, but you know, like when the English first came to the American continent, it was an all-out race war with the Indians, and it was for hundreds of years. And same thing in Africa, and same thing with the Muslims and the Europeans. Like, all of history is basically just one big race war. And I think, you know, obviously the reason that people are apprehensive about white pride and white nationalism and white separatism is because of Hitler. It's because of Hitler, slavery, colonialism, and they know that when white people are left to their own devices and when they're proud, there will be an enormous disparity in power. In the same way that there are persistent disparities between the races in America today. They know that white society will be richer, more technologically advanced, because whites are more martial, more innovative, and they fear what white people do at the power, because for centuries they oppressed people. And this is why, you know, liberalism really proceeded from that period. Liberalism, Christianity kind of went hand in hand, and they developed this idea that, well, you know, we're going to free the slaves and treat everyone as equals and so on. And it's almost like we went too far in that direction. And now people that are illiberal and people that are not, they don't love their neighbor, they don't see whites, they hate whites. A lot of them hate whites and blame whites for slavery and colonialism. We're letting them in our communities where they want to do us harm, and they're actually indifferent to our problems and who we are and our identity, and we're going to be erased. So people say, well, you know, yes, we don't want whites to go away, but also if we empower whites, isn't that going to imperil all the other races, just like it did in the past? And it's true. I mean, Hitler was a pagan in many ways, and, you know, some of his people were into the occult and esoteric stuff, and they were into eugenics. I think people, you know, non-white people rightly don't want to be killed or lost in the gene pool. I think what mediates that is Christianity, which says that, God created the races, created the nations, but doesn't want us to be integrating so much that we disappear, but also doesn't want us killing each other. And I think you could have harmony in a community of nations if you believe in God and you see everybody's an equal. But there is a tension, which people point out, that at once we're universal and we say we're all children of God. At the same time, we're like, yeah, the black people could be children of God over there. You could go be a children of God over in Haiti and stay there. And, but there's a logic to that. Because as long as there are Haitians and Africans and Indians and Chinese and all these people in America, there'll be no more white Americans. And Europeans are the ones that evangelize the world. They systematized Catholicism and Christianity. They created liberalism and tolerance and ended slavery and all these things. And so it's a question, is it good for anybody in the whole world if all that goes away? You still have slavery in Africa. And you still have tribalism in Central America. Like drug cartels, they're just like modern Indians. They're modern Indians. They're cutting people's heads off, scalping people. So, it's a difficult conversation, but people need to get there. And I think they need to be guided by the principles of no cruelty. We don't want cruelty. We want mercy, compassion, and love. At the same time, we have to take care of our own first. And your own is your family, and your kin are your extended family. And it's true. What Andrew said is so true. If you don't call yourself white supremacist or something like that, it's almost like you don't love your own people. If you're going out there and you have a liberal attitude about race, it's like, do you really love yourself? Do you love your parents? Do you have dreams of progeny that look like you and your grandparents? If you don't, I think that's deeply fucked up. And only white people think that way. So it's a bit of a problem, but Christianity can moderate the excesses.
Yeah, they've subjugated the white man via their female primarily. That's what they've done. They've got the female's head, and their female now runs the house. And that's how the white man's been subjugated, because white women don't listen to white men anymore. White women listen to black men, and black women have to a degree, listen to a black man, or he won't come home at all. But white women get to sit in a house that's paid for and ignore her man all day. And that's why the whole fucking race is fucked. And we talk about how the white people were bad with their power. Well, who was better with power? That's what power does. Power is not going to only ever do nice things forever. That's some altruistic garbage. When you have power, sometimes you do good things, sometimes you do bad things. And white people have done a whole bunch of good things. There's a guy online who was saying something, I can't remember his last name, but he was saying something about how the American empire is so evil, da-da-da. I agree. I'm one of the biggest critics of the West and how bad America is and how hypocritical they are and how they break international law, etc. But I'm also pretty smart enough to know that once America loses hegemony and Russia or China's in charge, do we really think the world's going to be fairer? Is it going to be nicer? Are they going to run it better? It's going to be the same shit. Just different people getting bombed. This is what power does. So they hate white people because they were powerful, and they fear that the white people can become powerful again because they believe that white people are inherently evil. But if you give any race that degree of power, in fact, I would argue that white people are probably the most merciful. If you look at the power disparity between a white nation and some of the nations they've gone to war with, they've been very nice because they could have genocided. White people could have truly genocided. Yeah, they had some concentration camps, they did some shit. It was the 1800s, bro. I'm not going to sit here and pretend that offends me because it was the 1800s, right? But if you actually look at the power disparity, they were pretty fair with that power. And like I said, talk about jail. If you gave a gang that much power over another gang in a jail, you'll see quickly how power is used. That's just how the world works. But yeah, white man has been subjugated by their female. Their women don't listen to men anymore. Their women think for themselves, but women don't think for themselves. I'm a misogynist. Fuck it, lock me up. Women don't think for themselves. They either obey their man or they obey the TV. That's it. They're empty vessels waiting to be programmed. So because they don't obey their man, they obey the TV. That's why women have points of view that they can't even fucking explain. Talk to the average Western female and ask her to explain why she thinks what she thinks. She can't. She can repeat what the TV told her, but she can't tell you why she thinks it. She can't give you any personal experience that led her there. She'll just get offended and shocked and start going, "Oh, you didn't, are you serious?" Yeah, I'm fucking serious, bitch. Explain yourself. Yeah. Do it. They can't because they're fucking idiots. So women, this is why. This is the thing we don't talk about. The reason the white race is losing is all women's fault. Because in other races, they have children, which is their job, and they obey their man. I'm a misogynist. Come on, BBC, print it. Lock me up. Fuck you. This is the bottom line of it. Whereas white women are like, oh, I don't want a kid until we have 4 houses and 3 cars. I want Instagram likes. I want a Birkin bag. They're chasing Instagram likes instead of chasing children. And that's the bottom line for the whole decimation of the white race. Then you got little dipshits, like the dickhead who was just on the show, whoever the fuck he is, coming here and sitting and realize, he doesn't realize, but what's happened is he goes, fuck, the white race is fucked. These big black guys can kick my ass. Maybe if I suck them off, they won't kill me. But you're just going to end up dead a little bit later. The crocodile might eat you last. You still get eaten, pussy. Get some balls. Fight, die on your way out. Fight like a fucking man. And this is just me as a man talking. I'm not pro-white. I'm not white. This is just obvious as fuck.
You're right. I mean, if you look at the power that Taylor Swift has, and she's the best example of a white woman leading white people in the West, a lot of the problems can be attributed back to them. But if you go a step further, the problems of liberalism, like we saw with the debater here, feminism, and these ideas, it came from this Enlightenment idea that founded America. Because these people weren't Christian. The people that founded America, a lot of them were Freemasons. They followed French philosophy of Enlightenment. And I think that the root of that came from this idea that whites had a higher IQ, which if you look at the stats, they do. Asians have the highest, and whites have the highest IQ in America. And that's where this Enlightenment idea comes from. That's how you get liberalism. That's how you get feminism. The guy that was just on, yes, he's wrong about everything, but he probably has a high IQ. So if you put that first, if you favor your skin color in front of God, that's how your woman ends up ruling you in the household. That's how feminism spreads like a disease.
So I think it's a tale as old as time, because you've seen societies in the past, they're ruled by women. It's something like, when you have a government in like the early stages, it's very martial. It's like the warriors are the government, like Israel. When Israel was founded, it's people that were literally in wars, people that were literally there driving the tanks and, doing the massacres that became the prime minister, that became the president. And so there's like a certain class of people that are running society, and it's a certain mindset. It's like a survival mindset. It's like if you got left in the woods, you would learn about the laws of the jungle and you'd be a changed person. You'd be a certain kind of person. We live in a very decadent technological society where if somebody breaks into your home, you call the police. If you're like a bitch, you call the cops, and cops with guns come and show up and they remedy the problem. People, they go into school, they go to college, they have this prolonged adolescence, then they go and work at a desk job. Nobody knows about violence. Nobody knows about struggle. Nobody knows about survival. And I'm no different. I'm a product of it as well. I was born in '98. It's the same story. And so with all the prosperity and indulgence, I think it gives itself to these kinds of ideas like women should have the same rights as us, and we got to promote niceness and tolerance over common sense, strength, wisdom, those kinds of things. I think it's a tale often told. And because Western society is so decadent and so rich and so sophisticated, in many ways, it's defeated us. We become weak, and then we're prone to women, because women are really the masters of intrigue. In a world where there's these giant corporations and giant massive organizations which are highly centralized, who are the gatekeepers? It's HR. It's the women. And, there's some ideological stuff in there too. This individualism that says that, we're all people and everyone should vote and work. And then necessarily then that extends to women as well. So there's something ideological too. But all of that aside, we could diagnose how it happened. It's a symptom of modernity, but women are fucking it up. And the problem is the number of white men that are actually based, it's like 0. Because they may know all this stuff about race and understand white genocide, but then they'll totally simp for their girlfriend. They'll totally simp. They're going to say things like, you can't criticize women. Women are a part of the movement too. You can't say women are dumb. We're about white women. And it's like, that's why I always supported that, Andrew, that's why I always supported you, because it's like, first things first, you need to tell women to shut the fuck up. If you can't tell them to shut up forcefully and listen. And it's also a big problem with Christians. That's why Muslims have an advantage, because Muslims, they put women in like a burqa. They put a woman in a niqab. They say, shut the fuck up. Here's an Etch-a-Sketch. Go over there, write out your answers with the Etch-a-Sketch, and I'll read them to the camera. I don't know if you saw that. And people are like, this is horrible. It's like, it's preferable. And maybe it's too far, but it's preferable to what we have now. That's what makes Islam attractive, because it's so conservative and traditional. And here it's the opposite. The women are fat, they're obnoxious, they swear, they're rude, they bring nothing to the table, they don't want to put out. And men tolerate it because men, it's a big symptom too. Men weren't hugged enough by their mothers. Now they all want a girlfriend, not even to fuck them. Because like people say, oh, they say about me, oh, you're Catholic, you're very like chaste and everything. It's like what separates me from other guys is so many guys I know, it's not even about taking down chicks and having sex with them out of lust, which is immoral, but at least it represents a will. They want to talk to them over text. They want to cuddle. They want to watch Disney movies. They want to Snapchat them and just spend all day fucking talking. And that's what it is for them.
Tate,
and that's like...
Andrew, real quick. The guy you were just reacting to, his name is Dean. You know, the guy that they were debating.
I'm not a faggot. I'm not interested. You know, but I'm not interested. He's a little bit. But it's interesting because you talk about just talking to them. You're right. And I can talk about my webcam studio. I didn't have a single fucking black guy calling us and spending his life savings talking to a bitch. Not one. Just white dudes, bro. Just endless white dudes complaining about their wives. They didn't even want sex from the girls. It was like a therapy session. And they'd spend $100,000 a month just talking to some girl on the other side of the planet saying their wife doesn't love them. It's ridiculous. And it's a white phenomenon. That's what's going on. And we talk about, the world's become so easy now that women can go around with their delusions. You see, it's not hard to see female delusion all around you. You hear them say, "Oh, we don't need men." What? On what level of stupid do you even have to be operating on saying you don't need men? Not only is the whole world built by men, if men disappeared, you'd be done in a day. Patriarchy has protected women from men, right? And it's protected them from themselves. It's interesting you said about how a lot of the white people are not based because they're scared of their girlfriends, etc. Yeah, it takes a certain caliber of man to be able to say to a chick, "Shut up, you don't know anything, I'll do it. Leave it to me." And a lot of these dudes can't do that. So they'll sit there and they'll simp for their chick and then they're not fixing anything because she doesn't know any better. I'm in I guess you could say, fortunate situation. I say to the women around me, look, I love you. I care about you. The reason I take such good care of you is because I'm a fucking misogynist. I'm such a terrible misogynist that I don't trust you to drive your own car, go anywhere without a security team, pay your own bills. I don't trust you to do anything because you're fucking useless. I'll do it. Everything. I'll do everything for you. I'm a nice man, but that makes me misogynistic. But when they come along with their opinion, I'm like, you're not allowed an opinion. You don't make the money. You don't fix anything. You don't solve anything. And you don't know anything. So keep your opinion and please just do as I say and let's have children. But most men can't pull that move off anymore. They used to be able to, but in the West, they can't anymore. And that is the absolute advantage that the Islamic world has over the Christian world. Because there's a Muslim family, there's a Muslim man with a Muslim woman who will go to England, they'll move in on benefits, free money from the government, and have 9 kids. Free money from the government, have 9 children. And a white woman will sit there and go, I don't want kids because we can't afford it. I want this, I want that. Well, then it's just TikTok to the bottom. That's how it's going to end. So I don't think it's a debate as to whether it's going to happen. It's certainly going to happen. It's just, and I don't think there's a debate, any sensible person, I don't think they have a debate as to how the world will be different. Then the last debate is, will the world be better? I don't know. If the world would be better, then why is everyone flocking to countries built by white people? I live with black guys and white guys, and we're the most racist house in the world because it's funny. It's hilarious. And us black guys just make fun of the white guy every morning. We're like, thanks for the society you built. And we just make fun of him. And he has no reply. Because it's true. Like, you gave us society. Thanks. Great. It's beautiful. Cheers. I really would like, although I refuse to talk that mincy little faggot, I'd be very interested to hear what can even be the counter to any of these pretty obvious observations.
So do you want me to
Yeah, there is no counter. It's math. You know, they're coming in here. And, you know, he was saying some stuff about women. We were debating about feminism. And he said, oh, yeah, you know, we got to look out for women and girls. And women are smarter and all this kind of stuff. And my favorite, I said, well, look, women can't lead because women aren't soldiers. And being a soldier is kind of like the essence of being a king and those kinds of things. Like, you defend the country, then you have responsibility, then you have the privilege of power. And it's like, My favorite is lately you're seeing all these non-white people are coming over here, like in New York. And you'll see these TikToks where women are like, follow me on my day in my life in New York. And they're going and they're going to Orange Fitness and they're getting their smoothie. And lately you hear stories about them just getting randomly attacked by homeless people. And there's something so, you hate to see it, but it's also delicious to see women who, they think they have all this power. They tell men, you ain't shit. F you. You got a small dick. Oh, you're an incel. You follow Andrew Tate. Fuck you. And they walk around proud because they know white men are never going to raise a hand to them. White men are never going to put them in their place, yell at them. So they walk around down the city, homeless person just out of nowhere, boom, and then they just like crumple. The way they fall to the ground, it's graceless. Like men kind of catch themselves, just like athleticism. They just go down. And it's like, but they don't even then, they don't see the problem. It's like, that wouldn't happen if you feared men. But that's the natural dynamic, is that women are constantly in reverence, but necessarily also in fear of men because men are more powerful. And when they lose that, then you get these ridiculous notions where it's like, we're going to bring in 1 billion immigrants and we're going to give them a bunch of stuff and, they're just going to become liberal and they're as American as apple pie. It's like you said, they're taking advantage. They're coming here. They're making more of themselves. They fucking hate us. And women are thinking, we're going to make a welcome basket and we're going to do this. And then they go and rape everybody. And then they go and rape and kill everybody. And, but that's the kind of foolishness when you're led by women. But it starts with the individual. A guy's got to be able to tell a woman to shut up. And I think a lot of men won't do that because they're either afraid of scarcity. They can't walk away from the table with the girlfriend. They're too infatuated and no longer practical. People are too romantic. They fall in love. It's not about making babies. And on some level, they view the woman as the mom. The woman is this kind of, the dynamic is flipped. Guys don't want to be like their dads. They want to be like their mother's sons, but with their wife. And it's a very sick dynamic. It's this mommy thing going on, and it needs to fucking stop.
You're right. Women have so little power that they rely on fictional men to give them power. If there's a woman who's getting harassed by a man, she'll say, oh, I've got a boyfriend. An imaginary man far away is more of a deterrent than her in the flesh. She'll call her dad on a phone. The guy on the phone on the other side of the country is more of a deterrent than her by herself. That's how little power women actually have. And any power they wield is enforced by men. These women who run all their mouths, if you touch them, they call a bunch of men to come and arrest you. It's all masculine. But the white people have just handed all their power over to women. And when I say women as well, I want to make something clear. I'm not just talking because we don't want to judge, we don't want to assume people's genders, right? For all intents and purposes, that little loser who's just on the show is a chick. To me, that's a girl. You're a girl. Oh, I'm a man. Why? Name one masculine thing about you. You're crying, begging for your race to be destroyed. You're begging to get fucked in the ass. Like, what name a single you're a chick. You're a girl. Talking to him is like talking to a girl. He even looks like a fucking girl.
Let me just add.
So when I say girl, I also mean a whole bunch of males, especially these white males. All these liberals, you're all girls. The current election is girls versus boys. That's the current election. Men versus women. That's the election. Dudes for Kamala, get an AIDS test. You're a faggot. You're basically a chick. You're all trans. All of you. That's the current conversation. You have the masculine against the feminine. That's all it is. In the West, we're now run by the feminine. It's a matriarchy, head to toe. It's a complete feminine mindset. And we're going to see, but I have a suspicion, that matriarchal societies cannot outcompete patriarchal societies, which is why all of history was patriarchal, because the matriarchal ones lost. And now we have a matriarchal society, the West, which is going to be competing against the patriarchal societies. And this is what's going to happen. This is why Islam is going to conquer the world. This is why white people are going to go extinct. This is all just obvious. And there's little dipshits like that girl who want to sit here and I don't know. I guess their cope is that it's okay and it's a good thing. Because I don't think they can deny it. So I guess their cope is, but that's good. Because maybe they assume, I kind of feel like saying to him, brother, I'm brown enough to know how we look at little white boys like you. You don't want us in charge. You don't want us in charge. You're not going to last. And you're not going to like it. You don't want us in charge. I'm telling you from the other side.
Mute the Discord.
But these people are just, I could say that to him. And his reply to me would be,
yes or
no,
no to
no, I
Adin?
know how brown people think more than you, and they love me. But we don't want to fuck you. We don't want to fuck you. So you're just in our way. To build us something or fuck off. Like the future's sure.
Yeah, there's no example of a matriarchal society working. That's why the birth rate, even though a place like Japan, bless, alhamdulillah, at least a place like Japan is very beautiful and it's good to go. The reason that the birth rate is declining is because the guys are addicted to porn and because a lot of them live by feminist ideals. And you see this dichotomy now in America where there's a funny video of a Kamala Harris rally and the guy's pretending to be gay, interviewing the girls. And he's asking the girls about like who she's attracted to. And she has to like silently admit that she's attracted to the evil Republican guys. She's been told that conservative men are so evil for so long, but she's not attracted to any of the liberal people. So yes, she'll agree with the liberal person. She'll agree with the one who wants to get their race evaporated. But at the same time, she's still always going to be naturally attracted to traditionally conservative values.
It's true.
Yeah, I think it's kind of interesting because I don't want to be a doomer either. But then I'm kind of sitting here thinking, maybe I'm begging to be entertained. You know, I've done it all. Private jets, Bugattis, jail, cockroach. I've done it. I'm kind of like, as this spirals on, I'm kind of enjoying the show. That's what I feel like. Like, I'm a Trump fan because I'm a man. I'm not. You have to support Trump because you're a fucking man. If you don't support Trump, you're gay. But it's kind of like someone said to me the other day, "What'd you do if Kamala won?" I was like, laugh. Oops. Let's see what she does when her own fans want her to stop Israel from blowing Gaza to fuck. Let's enjoy the show. Like, I don't know. Maybe I'm just at the point now where it's just like I just want to watch it all burn. Not because I'm a bad person, but because it's kind of funny, I guess. But when I hear these liberal dipshits, I just think, okay, so he's the person who's destroying everything. People like him. He's gonna end up subjugated and enslaved. I'm not. So ha ha ha. I guess I'm kind of reaching that stage now. I would love, because I think it'd be actually fantastic for the culture. I'd love for Trump to win because the reason they hate Trump, the reason they actually hate Trump is because he's a man. That's it. And when I say a man, I mean an actual man. They don't give a shit about any of the things they pretend they give a shit about. It's literally just because he's a man. They like the men that are women. They go, no, we don't hate men. We like this man. That dude's a fucking homo. That dude's a chick. There's nothing masculine about him at all. But if you're remotely male, they can't fucking stand you. I know that from personal experience. There is no way I would have gone world viral to the point where they had to lock me up for saying women couldn't drive. Unless I was big and strong and rich and tall and charismatic. If I was a little fucking loser and said it, they wouldn't have cared. They just hate me because I'm a dude. I'm a man. And all the youth were like, I want to be a man like Andrew. And they're like, oh shit. They're growing balls. Stop them quickly. That's all it is. They hate Trump because he's a man. It doesn't matter what he says. In fact, everything he's been saying recently isn't even remotely controversial or right-wing. So why the fuck do they still hate this guy? Because he's a man. They hate men because men are the defenders. Men are the warriors. Men are the ones who are in the way. And they want to get rid of men because men are the ones who are always going to stand up and try and prevent the slavery. Men are the ones who are going to resist enslavement. And they want to make slaves of us all. So they have to get rid of all the men. It's very simple. Women are easy to fucking scare. That's why they want women. And when I say women, I mean females plus that dude like we did. Women. They're easy to scare. They're cowards. You just come along, say, put on the mask. They shit their pants. They do whatever the fuck they're told. You have to be ready to die for something to resist enslavement. And women never are. They're not ready to die for fucking anything. They're ready to just listen. And that's the problem, right? So we have this huge, in the West, the problem we have now is you have all the females and liberals, and there's two competing power structures. There's the media matrix machine. There's the last few men. And the last few men are under endless attack by lawfare. I don't want to put myself, I can say me, I can say Trump. I'm not trying to brag. I'm saying if you project a masculine enough image, they will do anything to fucking lock you up. Because they want all of the females obeying the Matrix. And the Matrix is saying, just comply. It'll be okay. Just comply. And that's the bottom line of what's happening here. And they hate the white man, especially because the white man is very organized. Extremely organized. They're a very organized type of people, white people. They get shit done. They're very organized. And also, it's kind of amazing to me. It's interesting because I just look at things, right? And I think, isn't court, obviously this is topical to me, but isn't court amazing? Let's think about two white guys will crash a car. They'll say, see you in court, buddy. I'm suing you, buster. And they'll go to court and they'll stand there to some judge who wasn't even there. And they'll say, I've got this. And they'll spend 9 months of time, energy, money, effort. I've got this photo. Here's the CCTV. It was their fault. And someone will lose and just take the L. I lost in court. Darn it. Lost $1 million, lost in court. Darn it.
Did you just say that there's no other reason to hate, not vote for Donald Trump, apart from the fact that he's a man? Like, maybe I don't support Donald Trump because he's a rapist. Maybe I don't.
Hey, who put this book on? Was it Adin?
It was Nick Fuentes. You think I'm sitting right here?
Put him on.
I'm kidding.
Maybe I don't support Donald
SNEAKO.
Trump.
Let's lose
Because
the
he
nerd.
sexualized little girls.
Because I'm trying to make a point. If you want to do a debate with the nerd, you can do it. You guys can enjoy it. But I'd rather lose the nerd and just talk knowing I'm right. It's better. So we're going to keep him here or not?
So you're a fan of Echo Chamber?
There's no chicks allowed at this table.
So
It's the
you're a fan of
He-Man.
Echo Chamber?
It's the He-Man club.
Okay, so I have
So
a penis
it's
with
up to
XY
you, Adin. If you
chromosomes.
wanna- if you
So a
wanna
man
keep
is something
the-
other than a
You
penis
wanna
with
keep
XY
the chick,
chromosomes?
I'll go off my coffee.
All right, just
What do you wanna do?
Now we'll add him back if Tate wants to debate another time.
Thanks. See you, loser. Anyway, loser. I lost my point now, but I was right, so it's fine. Oh yeah, court. Isn't court amazing? Like, do you think that shit happens in a lot of the world? Imagine you crash your car in Rwanda. You think they're gonna go, all right, see you in court, buddy. 9 months, legal evidence, and someone's just gonna take that. No, who has a machete in the car? Because that's the guy who was right. That's how most of the world actually works. The white man is actually very intriguing to me. I watch it with intrigue when I see them go, I lost in court. Oh, well. That's actually quite remarkable. And it's a beautiful thing. It's built a beautiful society. I don't think white people realize how rare that is. How rare that is. That is so rare amongst most races. Go to anywhere in Latin America, go to most of these countries, they'd be like, what the fuck? I ain't taking that. No. And then what's the answer to things? Well, the answer is violence. White people have lost their propensity to violence because everything in the world is violence. You're just putting layers of garbage on top to try and prevent the violence, which is fine because that keeps society functioning. But it is the bottom line of all things. So if you're going to have people who don't see the layers and they're not interested in, and they just want to go straight to the quick solution, then you're not competitive anymore. How can you compete against people who skip all the garbage and go straight to violence? You can't. So this is perhaps an argument for the segregation of societies. It's not being racist. It's not being a bad person. It's just saying we operate one way. We play chess. They play checkers. They play Go. They play fucking Scrabble. So let's all play our game. Because if you allow chess pieces on the Go board, it's all fucked. And this is what we have now with huge backlogs in the legal system and fucking everything's a mess. Yeah, because the system wasn't meant to deal with this influx of shit. How can, like with the asylum problem and the open border, if your solution is we're going to arrest them, put them in jail and asylum claims, take them to court, it's over. That takes forever. It's over. That's not going to work. It's never going to fix anything. You could do a Poland, build a wall and put guys with guns on the wall. That could probably, but if you're going to let them in any regard, like England does, because I'm talking about England, I don't know about America, but in England, they turn up on the boats and then we say, okay, we're going to process your asylum claim. That's game over. Game over. Because the people who are coming in on the boat don't give a fuck whether you say yes or no, because they don't believe in court. So what's the fuck? I mean, this is so obvious to me to see. I don't know how people find this in some way mind-breaking or controversial to say. And you can be neutered by your morality. The problem with the white man is they're not savage enough. They're not savage enough when it comes to having children. They're not savage enough when it comes to reproducing. They're not savage enough protecting their lands, because that was the bottom line of all humanity. Protect your lands, protect your women. They're not doing that. Little cucks like that girl or think that debating on the internet is going to somehow fix the world. Bro, shut the fuck up. Piss off. Because nothing you say matters because your race is going to be extinct soon because of little losers like you. So no one gives a shit what you think. You're a dipshit. If you think owning the conservatives is somehow going to make the liberals not see you as a little cracker, you're wrong. Because you walk through Compton and talk about how you own the Trump supporters. Go on, bro. Go teach them a lesson. Go say, no, did you see me on the podcast? Fuck you. You're a loser. So, like, the world's collapsing. The white man's world's collapsing. It's all women's fault. This will probably land me in jail. And I'm just watching the show. I don't know how any of this is even controversial anymore. It's pretty fucking obvious.
Jake, what's going on, man?
Hey, Jake, you remember Andrew? And you remember Jake? Hey, Jake, this is Nick Fuentes. Nick, this is Jake.
Hey, Jake, what's up?
Jake, who did you think won the debate? Dean or Nick Fuentes?
Fuentes.
Fuentes won, yeah.
Let's go.
Yeah, facts.
Yeah.
Jake, how big is your dick?
Okay.
Well, you guys have to ask to talk about
I
it.
thought I can get Tate and Nick to smile at that one.
That's good.
No, life will prove that Nick won. Like, you can only deny reality for so long. I don't know how long the people are going to try and just hard cope and endlessly deny reality until it... I guess the problem is cowardice, right? If you deny the easiest way to fix a problem is pretend it doesn't exist. That's how you fix a problem. We have a problem. No, we don't. Solved. Right? Why are you risking being called racist? Why are you talking about all these complicated socioeconomic issues? You can just pretend there's no problem. That's what people do.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, everything's going to get worse. It already is. Everything already sucks. America's a dump. Every city is a shithole and a dump and doesn't work. Everything's getting worse everywhere. Service is getting worse. Everything's dirtier. Everything's more chaotic. They're canceling flights. There's like shortages of stuff. People are rude. And, it's like, it is a level of white autism. Like the new villain now in every TV show and movie is like a white autist on 4chan. Like the Batman movie's about that. All the movies are about that. It's like a Ted Kaczynski. Because you're right, white people are methodical, white people are into math, they're hobbyists and things like that. And the prospect that those people are out there, it speaks to the idea of how they want to create a slave class. You can't have a government that's totally corrupt and selling out and decadent and so on, but also have white autists out there that are upset about the ecology being destroyed, because then they make a bunch of mail bombs and start killing everybody and release a manifesto, or then they go on 4chan and get Trump elected with memes or whatever. And it really is like an anti-white male thing, because they recognize that white males uniquely have that particular aptitude. Even with blacks are brought in and people say, well, but they're very high testosterone. And it's true, they riot and they burn stuff down, but that's like built in. Oh, like Jake. Well, Jake, you're not burning stuff down. You're not burning stuff down. You're not killing. You're not with BLM. But they do that, and that's like built into the cost. Like the banks, Target, they built into the cost, shoplifting, burning, all that kind of stuff, and they get it out of their system every now and again, and then it resets. But those people aren't reading the papers, and they don't read between the lines, and they don't know about the corruption scandals. That's why in like Brazil and Africa, you have people. They're in power for like 100 years and they're embezzling all the money. And they're like, like in Haiti. That's what happened in Haiti. They had a deal with Venezuela. They got free oil in exchange for, they said they spend the money on social programs. Government just stole all the money. The people didn't even notice. There's no journalist there. There's no one getting the scoop. And, so they want basically no supervision. And they know that, you get rid of the white hobbyist, that white genius, there's going to be no threat to their power at all. That's really the game.
It's too bad. And the media reflects it identically. If you see it, for example, Joker is one of your favorite movies, Nick. Joker 2 ended up becoming a musical with Lady Gaga because white incel frog people.
Wait. Sorry to cut you off. Wait, Joker 2's ass? Because I haven't seen it yet. Is it good?
Well, it's out. They turned it into a musical because Joker 1 ended up becoming a symbol for the white incel, the disenfranchised white incel. Every time there's a symbol in the media that represents that silent majority that got Trump elected, Breaking Bad's a great example. You can see a white guy rising up, shaving his head, reclaiming his masculinity. And then the last season, the enemy ends up becoming, instead of the brown Venezuelan, it's a neo-Nazi. It's the symbol of white supremacy because they don't want whites to have any sort of representation. It's
They don't want men to have any kind of representation. You nailed it when you said masculinity. That's true. The British government spends billions of dollars a year trying to remove me from schools. What did I say? What color's your brigade? I'm the problem, not the knife crime, not the drugs. No, not the kids getting stabbed to death. Not the rappers that sing about killing and murdering all. No, just me because I said, stand up and be a man and go to the gym. Bro, it's a clown world. Masculinity is under massive attack because masculinity is in the way. I think Nick has nailed it with the autistic white man thing. The white man's organized. He's a formidable foe. He's organized. He gets his shit right. He's on time. BLM is great, but if it's before 9 a.m., they're tired. This is what it is. And they finna get them some Jordans. They get distracted by a Nike store. Whatever. Build some new shoes. Get the chinks to make new shoes, and it's fine. The white man's organized. And that's what they fear. They fear a genuine organized resistance. And it's kind of remarkable that they've managed, to be fair to them, it's kind of remarkable they've managed to instill so much hatred inside the white population that they're going to allow their women to be raped, their lands to be conquered. Let me tell you all a story. I was attacked in Moldova. I was walking in Moldova, in Chisinau, Moldova, about 7 or 8 years ago. My brother and I were walking, and we had 3 Russian girls with us. And these 4 Russian men started screaming at us in Russian. And I don't know what they said. And the girls replied to the guys in Russian. They started having some little kind of argument on the street. And I told the girls, shut up. I hate when girls run their mouth when the men have to fight. So I said, shut up. Anyway, I was like, what are they saying? And the girl said, they're calling us whores. They're calling us whores. And I was like, anyway, these 4 dudes came over and we're like, where are you from? Where are you from? And I was like, I live in Romania. It's like, where are you from? Where are you from? And as soon as they got close, they swung. And when they started attacking my brother and I, like out of nowhere, like 25 dudes just appeared out of nowhere. Long story short, we managed to block a few punches. We moved. It was both of us. And we saw all 25 of them. We backed up. We said, girls, let's go. We jumped in a taxi. They attacked us because they knew that we were only there for girls. And they knew the girls were only with us for money. And they thought, why the fuck are they in Moldova? Nobody comes to Moldova. Fuck them. And I tried to explain to the girls that I respected those guys. The girl's like, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I was like, I get it. She goes, what do you mean you get it? They just attacked you. I was like, I get it. I'm not even mad about it. I'm bleeding. I totally understand. I could have died then and there, but I have to be man enough to admit I understood them because they knew what we were there for. Their only resource. They knew women don't give a fuck about nationality and they're just chasing money. So they were nationalistic. And they were white people. Moldova, Russia, a few countries have it left. But the Western white man just seems to be prepared to just roll over and die. It's remarkable.
Hey, real quick, Andrew and Nick, this is my other buddy, Kevin. Kevin, go ahead and unmute.
What's up, Kevin? It was good to meet you the other day.
Hey.
Kevin?
Yes, well,
Hey, Kev. SneakerCon's going to be fun this weekend. What's it called? Kevin, this is Andrew. Kevin. And then Kevin, this is Nick. And then you know Jake.
yeah.
Hey.
Kevin is
That's
Chinese.
Does Kevin talk?
Yeah.
Kevin,
Yeah.
Andrew's talking to you.
Yeah, I'm here, yeah. It's good, Tate.
Yeah.
You good? Where are you American?
Yeah,
You live in
right.
America?
Yeah. No, I'm in Canada.
Oh, unlucky, bro. Unlucky. Sorry about that.
Why is he unlucky?
Last time I saw in Canada, Drake green lighted me. I don't even know what the fuck that means. I need a piss.
What?
Drake banned him from Canada.
Oh, you press not come over here.
But Nick, you've been live for about 5 hours. You're not tired.
Is that your longest stream, Nick?
No, I've done longer, but when I was doing the RNC, it was like 8 hours a day. But yeah, I mean, I did a show, I did the debate. Now it's the post-debate recap. It's been a long stream, but it's been fun. It's been, I don't know, is this the kind of content you normally do? I feel like it's pretty political.
No, not really. But see, Jake and Kevin, and I guess I'm here as well to try to break up the political thing. His audience wants him to mostly steer away from political stuff, but it's more interesting to him as you get older. As you get older, you want to
dive in.
This is the stuff that you care about. It's hard to just do.
Yeah, I actually do like it more.
Yeah, I can tell that it actually interests him. And even then, he's always said positive things about you, Nick, off camera too. He's like, he finds you very funny, and he likes. And obviously, he doesn't agree with much of the stuff, especially like when you start talking about certain events in the past, he'll start screaming. But other than that,
Right.
The rhetoric is appreciated.
Yeah, well, it's fun. You don't have to agree with everything to just. I just like to hear people talk. I like to hear people with ideas, and it's fun to just talk about stuff that matters. I feel like so much of the content is so mindless. When they started banning like prank videos, conspiracies, and it's like there was a period on YouTube where all you had was slime tutorials. Like that was it's just like the most mindless makeup tutorials, slime tutorials, commercials. And I feel like people like fighting, people like politics, people like that kind of stuff. So, so I enjoy it, but.
Yeah, that's the content game.
Yeah.
It's a couple people at the top profiting. And just this panel here is so funny because Adin's barely said a word, and he's getting a black guy, Chinese guy, mixed guy, white guy, and also another mixed guy to just dance and make the money for him. This is it looks like Israel versus the world right now.
Stop it.
I don't think this panel.
It's the Sanhedrin.
You really got to do that? Come on.
All right, Tom, I'm sorry.
It's all love, King.
No.
I don't think this
Yes.
panel's been really toxic enough. There's going to be a little bit of MSM, but I don't think I'm going to get in that much trouble for this. I feel like I need to up the game. It's been easy. We just said the easy shit.
True.
We say the other. It's one of the things let me be toxic because I'm called the most toxically masculine man in the world. It's great. You know what's super cool about being toxically masculine? Never explaining myself to anyone ever. Like, sometimes I just say things like, well, where'd you come up with that? What data have you have? My balls. I just made it up. Women can't drive. Well, I have the insurance data that says, because you're gay. You look at data because you're gay. I decided. So that's how it is. I just decide things. And they're true. And in my house, they're true. I can just walk around. I just decided. You should have seen the way. I actually spoke to Tristan about this the other day. I said, how did we get COVID so right? Because there's nobody on the internet who can claim to get COVID better than us. Nobody. We had it on day one, the very first day we were already rebelling and going to Sweden, living in Sweden because it was open. We moved country. And I said, how did we get that so right? Because we didn't know. But we kind of just, on day one of COVID, when everyone was dying in Italy and people were dying in China, and everyone was panicking, me and Tristan just went, nah. We just made it up. We just decided, fuck the news, fuck the, no. I do that to this day. I said to one of my girlfriends, my women can't drive. Why do you say that? Have you ever seen any women crash? A few. Have you seen men crash? Yeah, actually. So why do you say women can't drive? I decided. I don't need evidence. I don't need proof. You can pull as many theories out of your ass as you want. I've decided. And that's why I don't want to debate with that little faggot. Because he's going to come and say, well, actually, I've decided.
Dude.
And you're a little bitch. So I don't care what you say. And I don't care what study you have. I've already decided. And I'm right. So shut the fuck up. That's the ultimate male. The ultimate masculine perspective is, I said so. Think about it. Mom, do I have to clean my room? Yeah, you have to clean your room. You can't live in a messy room. Dad, do I have to clean my room? Yes. Why? Because I fucking said so. Yes, sir. Don't want to die today. Better clean my room. That's how I was raised. It was all I said so. That's how I run my children. That's how I run my household now. I said so. I don't negotiate with kids. I see white people. We'll talk about white people. White people are the worst parents ever. They're negotiating with children. You see them. If you're good today, Timmy, we'll give you some candy. What the fuck? You're doing a business deal with a fucking toddler? If I wasn't good, I got beaten so bad. Bro, black parents, no different. What do you mean candy? There's no candy. There's only violence. There's none of these layers. There's no court. There's none of this. It's just, you get your ass whooped. Right? White people even do this with children. I just say because I said so for everything. My girls say to me, "Who is Kamala bad?" Yeah. Really? Yeah, she's evil. She's going to destroy the world. Why? Said so. Oh. Will you explain? No. No. I said so. So that's it. But that's the end of the conversation. Same with the kids. Same with all of them. I said so. So I'm now at the point of wealth and influence. I'm now a I said so guy. When I next sit with the BBC and they say, you had this misogynistic view, where'd that come from? Because I made it up. From my balls, I invented it. I mean it, and I don't need to prove shit to you, and that's the bottom line. That's my new worldview. That's why I won't debate with that little faggot.
Yeah.
Andrew, how's life, bro?
It's pretty good, actually. Called my cars back yesterday. It was nice.
How's the driving been? It's been good?
You know, did I want them back? Sometimes you think you want things, and then they come, and then you don't really care. I mean, why did I even buy them? Did I buy them to drive them, or did I buy them because I'm rich and I just like having other people's dreams on my driveway? Maybe I just bought them to show off. Maybe it's because I'm part black and it's just, you know, like diamond watches and cars. I'm just an idiot. So I just buy all this shit. And then it gets taken away and I'm like, it's quite peaceful without all that crap to deal with. And now it's all back and they need cleaning. And it's quite stressful. You know? So I don't know what to say. I mean, my brother and I talk. We miss jail. Jail was great. You know, you just wake up, push-ups, beans. Life was simple. Now it's all complicated and elections and court. Like, I don't know. I don't know. Is life ever good, Aiden? You tell me. What do you do with your life? Convince me your life's worth living.
Okay. Wake up, work out, then I eat, then I sleep.
Don't lie. Don't lie. You don't work out. That's a lie. So let's start with the truth. You wake up.
SNEAKO, or are you gonna be a dick sucker?
He's been going hard. He's been going hard in the gym recently. I think he's not on drugs. I've been around him for about a week. He's pretty locked. I've never seen him this motivated before. I got to give him credit for being this motivated.
I eat healthy. I stay very, very locked in, and that's what I do.
Are you going to save the white race, Aiden?
What you say?
You're going to save the white people?
If I had to choose one race to save, Tristan.
Hey, Tristan, how you doing, man?
That's Tristan. Let's go.
I've been listening for about an hour and don't really have much to say. I'm just going to sit here and enjoy the ambiance of this podcast because it's nice and toxic, as Andrew was saying, and I bask in toxicity. So I'm just here to soak up the bad vibes, you know, power myself up for the day.
We need coffee made by a female. We need females. Instruct females to bring us things.
Sure, no problem. Give me a second.
So, anyways,
BBC, have a breakdown.
Anyways, Jake, what about you, man? What do you do when you wake up?
Sing, work out, you know, sing, work out.
I need 2 coffees in the podcast studio.
Listen.
Thanks. Podcast studio. Bring podcast studio 2 coffees immediately. Bye.
Okay.
So yeah, my debating days are over, guys, because it's all I said so. I'm sorry. I said so. This is just how I know. I just know things instinctually. Like I know that Nick, you and Candace have some kind of beef. I don't know. I don't understand it, but I like Candace. She's been very nice to me. Candace is a huge. I don't let anyone say anything bad about Candace. I love Candace. And when she was explaining to me about Bridget Macron, she was like showing me data and stuff, like why he's a man. And I'm like, you don't have to show me anything. I know that that's true because Macron's a little faggot.
Why do you have beef, Nick, with Candace?
I wouldn't say it's beef, but, you know, she gets fired from Daily Wire for saying it's the Jews. And then she starts saying it's not the Jews, it's people pretending to be Jewish. And I just said that's not really true. So we just have a disagreement. She says it's in the Bible, it says they'll call themselves Jews, but they're not. And I said, well, that doesn't necessarily mean it's the followers of Jacob Frank. I said that could mean a lot of things. But we have a disagreement about it. And we talk privately. We're not really contentious anymore. We're not hostile to each other. But we had a little, you know, there's a little bit of distrust because when you're in the scene and you're controversial and you're telling the truth, there are people, and I don't know Candace. I've only talked to her a handful of times, so I've never met her. But people do come in and out of the scene, and sometimes they are really with us, and sometimes they're pretending to be with us. And I was trying to figure out which one she was. And I think she's on the right side, but we just have a disagreement about how we interpret that part of Revelation. I think it's just the Jews, just plain, straight up, vanilla. That's who's doing it.
Well,
she says it's
hold on
complicated.
A second. Nick, I want to ask you a question, man, because, you know, I'm Jewish, man. And what do you think about me overall, like, as a Jew? Do you think that I'm one of the good ones? Do you think that, do you not like me? Like, if they're... Let me ask you this also. It's a two-parter. Wait, Jake, why are you shaking your hands? But,
Jake, do this.
real quick, though. So, Nick, it's a two-parter. Overall, a three-parter. Overall, what do you think about me? Do you like that I'm Jewish? And if you could, what would you do about me being Jewish? You can answer all three. Go ahead.
Well, I like you. I think you're funny. I think you have a good heart. And here's the thing, like, I like Jews in general. I think, you know, it's like every race has their own attributes, like black people, a lot of criminality, but they're also, they also have big hearts.
Don't let him talk to you like that, man.
They're also musical. What's that?
Jake, don't let him talk to you like that.
So, you know, but there's pros and cons. Like with white people are very organized, but then they're also a little cucked and, you know, they listen to their girlfriends too much and whatever.
No.
It's true. They do. White people are simps. I hate to say it. I hate to break it to you.
All right, fine. That's okay. Number two.
And with Jews, you know, Jews are very funny. They're very intelligent. And so I have friends who are Jewish, and they're some of my favorite people. They're very extroverted. They're hilarious. But at the same time, they're not super trustworthy. Okay,
Whoa,
like
come
they
on.
do. It's just true, and I know it from experience. It's like Andrew said.
Jake's
I
agreeing.
said so. They have a talent for deception. And it's the same reason that they're funny, the same reason that they're super smart and good lawyers. It's the same reason they have a talent to spin tales and tell tales.
So do you think
that because
hold on. Do you think that Jewish people are manipulative?
Oh yeah, all day.
Jake,
that's just true.
And Jake, you black people steal.
No.
What do you say, Tristan?
I played this game with a Jewish friend of mine recently. I was sitting as a member of the war room. We were sitting having drinks. Very cool guy, because I do have Jewish friends. When you always ask, like, what do you think about me being Jewish, etc. My perception on it is, are you in the group chat or not? Because, Aiden, I know there's a secret group chat that controls all this crap. And if you're not in it, then cool. It's all about who's in the group chat.
But I don't think
I
there's
was
a
thinking this
secret
Jewish friend of mine, and I basically said something very similar to Nick. I said, look, we're going to play a word association game. I'm going to say a crime, and you're going to say a race, okay? I said gun violence in inner cities. Black. Smuggling drugs and people across the U.S. border.
Mexicans.
Using banking powers and lobbying groups to subvert politicians. So I was like, look, bro, I can take it as a half black man. I can take the fact that we're the ones shooting up the inner cities. Look, I'll take that L. I'm not in the group chat. I'm not in the gangbangers, let's go smoke this nigger group chat. That's not what I'm about as a half black man.
Yo, oh my God.
Group chat, Aiden, you see? You're just a guy who's Jewish, like my Jewish friends, which is fine. If you're in the group chat, I got to be careful about you. I don't know if you use Telegram, Signal, WhatsApp, if you got your own little thing.
Tristan.
But I know there's a secret group chat that you're not in.
Tristan, I'm not in it, I promise.
Good.
All right,
So
wait.
let me ask Nick a question, because you understand the Jewish scenario. I mean, I understand it, but you understand it probably deeper than me. But would you argue that Jews are doing... Okay, let me make sure I word this correctly. Jews feel threatened because they're not a majority, which means they're using the organizational skills of the white man to constantly subvert and retain power. So the question is, aren't Jews doing what white people should be doing, but because there's so little of them, they feel enough threat to get it done?
100%. I mean, that's what defines them, is that they are up until recently, they were a diaspora people, meaning they had no land, they had no territory. And even before that, they were subjugated and enslaved. So they have a strong group identity. And they're histrionic. You know, like if you make a Jew joke and you don't have rapport, they'll say it's another Holocaust. If you say like, you know, any Jew joke you could think of, ashtray, this, then that, they'll say, this is anti-Semitism, it's gonna lead to a Holocaust. They have like this reflexive, histrionic fear of anti-Semitism because of the history of persecution, expulsion, all those things. Now, we could look at the reasons for that, but that's just what defines them. And so, as a result, like, for example, Israel, they go and bomb everybody and they say, well, we were out there defending ourselves. That'd be like if I went to my neighbor and like shot everyone in the house and said, hey man, self-defense. I mean, you know, I was in the living room hanging out. You came downstairs. I had to kill.
Nick,
that's what they do.
SNEAKO was telling me that there's Muslims that live in Israel.
That's true.
And Christians.
You're aware about Jerusalem used to be a really traditionally mixed area. Al-Aqsa Mosque is in Israel as well.
Okay,
But
so
the point being is they take that to this wild extreme where they say, in order to defend ourselves, we need our own country. In order for us to have our own country, we need to be terrorists like the early Zionists. In order for us to defend our country, we have to invade our neighbors. We have to machinate and do, you know, lobbying in the United States and all of that. You know, like in the 73 war, Israel was almost defeated by the Arabs, and the prime minister of Israel said, if America doesn't send us this giant airlift of weapons, we'll just nuke everybody. And it's like, but they're taking their survival to this logical conclusion and extreme. And it's like Andrew said, it's Darwinism. If white people had that same mindset, you know, we would be seeking to empower ourselves. But we don't have that same fear because white people are comfortable, we're altruistic, we're in the majority. A lot of white people aren't even conscious of race because they don't need to be, because they grew up in a white neighborhood. And so they go out into the world, it's like Andrew said too about courts. They don't know how it is in other places because to them, race, they're comfortable with it being a construct because it's not an imminent reality for them. For Jews, they grew up their whole lives knowing they're different from everybody. They celebrate Hanukkah, not Christmas. They get told stories, all their holidays about them being persecuted and them being attacked by the Romans or the Persians or the Babylonians. And so they have this like survival instinct, which leads them to amass power and dominate. And yeah, like white people should do the same thing. I 100% agree. Almost don't even hold it against them. But they need to recognize that, you know, there are white countries and white people should be able to thrive and we should be partners, not pawns or puppets. And that's where Jews have what you call chutzpah. They come into the country and they act like it's their home and they tell people what to do and so on. And, you know, that's not respectful. That's not harmonious. It stems from their religion. And their religion, it says that they're people and we're animals. It says that they have souls and we don't. It is true.
But so, and also, but listen, personally, I don't look at you guys as animals. I don't.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I don't see you as an animal. I see you as a human being.
Wait, okay, can you answer my third question, though, really quick? If you could do something about me being Jewish, would you? Or would you just keep me the way I am?
I would convert you to being Catholic, but
what about,
I think that...
So what's the difference? What about, I'm not trying to turn you two against each other, but what about Islam, right? So... You know, there's a lot of similarities in Judaism and Islam. There is. Like, we were talking about it with...
There's more similarities in Christianity and Islam.
Agreed.
The main similarities...
I don't think that's true.
No, it is. I mean, look, the main similarity is that we respect Jesus. We love Jesus as a prophet, peace be upon him. Christians see him as God. Jews, they don't. Jews rejected him, and that's how Christianity started.
But Jesus Christ was Jewish.
Religious argument, but I just want to... Because I want to understand that. I want to see if you see it the same way I do. Because I believe that scared dogs bite. And I believe the Jews are naturally afraid. And that's the reason they're so psychopathic, is because they're afraid. And you quite pertinently pointed out that they felt different their whole lives. They know they're different. They have a national identity. And we're talking about how white people should be doing what they're doing to protect themselves. And then would you also agree that they're subverting white nations because they consider white people the most organized and serious threat?
Yeah.
Is that what it is?
That's what World War II, the myth of World War II is all about, because the mantra after World War II was never again. Never again can there be a Hitler and a Holocaust. And by the way, I agree with that. But they said, no, we cannot, you know, we would say something like, yeah, countries shouldn't genocide people, totally. But what they took it a step further and they said, well, what led to Hitler? And they said fathers, love of nation, love of God. They said,
Nick.
and they called it the authoritarian personality. Yeah, go ahead.
Nick, you're saying that, or sorry, Andrew, you said that like the Jews are like scared, right? We're scared. Of what exactly? I mean, you guys are also saying that Jews run the world, right? So what would we technically be scared of? I'm not a Jew who runs the world. I'm not. I give nobody any shape or form. Go ahead.
There's when I said scared dogs bite, I mean they're afraid that they're going to be wiped out. They're afraid for their existence, and this is why they are so protective
Well,
of
there was a
the
Holocaust.
They want the narrative to change, and they want to have Israel. And as Nick pointed out, they're very aggressive. And when a dog is aggressive, it's a scared dog. A dog that's not scared isn't aggressive. They're aggressive, and they believe that anyone at any time might kill them and might come for them. They're nervous. They're jittery. That's how they are. That's why they'll go to war so easily. It's why they'll invade countries. It's why they'll commit genocide. It's why they'll do such heinous things, because they're afraid. When you're afraid, you do heinous things. And the white man perhaps isn't very afraid, which is why he's not reacting very much to anything.
The fuck is that on your ear?
Fear. He doesn't feel the fear, but fear is a very powerful motivator inside of the human psyche. In fact, I don't know why I'm getting thumbs up, but fear is probably the most powerful motivator inside of the human psyche. So I think that they feel scared and they feel afraid, and that's why they're constantly searching for power and constantly trying to subvert all other power structures, is because they know that they're threatened. If you don't feel threatened, you're not going to react. That's just how things are. You're not going to take preventative measures. At least if you live in a hostile area, you're going to put a big fancy door on your house because you're scared. You're going to get guns because you're scared. If you don't feel any threats, you're not going to. So I feel like perhaps they just feel intimidated. They feel threatened. And they know, especially now that they pissed the world off, so they're even more threatened, more intimidated, because they know that they're less liked. And they see the white countries and the white man as the most organized and formidable enemy, because they fear organized enemies. They don't fear randomized enemies. They fear an organized group of people coming along and taking their influence away, because if they lose their influence, then they feel like they're going to be destroyed.
Okay.
I mean, that's the only time, guys. That's the only time white people are going to get their act together. Once it's too late.
Yeah.
Once it's too late, they're going to wake up and they're going to go, oh shit. When you try and prevent the bad thing from happening before it's too late, then you're crazy, then you're a conspiracy theorist, then you're a bad person. But once it's too late, they'll all mobilize and they'll do anything it takes to try and survive. That's just human nature, unfortunately.
Yes, sir. Question though, do you agree that like I mean I know your answer, but what about like a Jew like me, right? Not like a Jew with authority, like a Jew that's me as me. Okay. Do you think that I'm a bad Jew? Do you think that I'm a bad person for being Jewish?
Is that me? No, I don't think so.
Okay.
I don't look at it that way. You just have people have ties to certain things. This actually goes back into what we were saying earlier about thick and thin cultures, right? The idea that people in Dubai all want to be in Dubai because they can make money and they're all loyal enough to Dubai, etc. If the Jews are loyal to Judaism above everything else, then you're automatically going to subvert everything besides Judaism. People often confuse being a hateful person with being a person full of love. People confuse this. If you love anything, then you are going to dislike things opposite to that you love. They will call you hateful for saying that I love white people. No, you just love white people. So you want to see white babies and white families and white nations because you love white people. You can't love something without also being called hateful the other way. There's equal and opposite force. So if they are in love with Judaism above all things, then they'll subvert all things besides Judaism, which means they'll subvert all things besides Israel, which includes America. So then the question is, well, if they're going to subvert everything besides the only thing they care about, do you want these people having any power over things they do not care about? This is a pretty logical conversation.
Are you checking the group chat, Adin?
Yeah, they texted me. They said we got to stop talking about this.
Good catch.
No, keep
Jake,
going.
they said they're going to come knock on your door.
Isn't it just where loyalty? It's just where loyalties land, and perhaps they're so loyal to their history and loyal to their identity.
Loyal to everyone, right? So Andrew, I think everyone's loyal to everyone, right? So like, if you introduce, like, I mean, even SNEAKO told me, like, there's a clip of like someone introducing me to somebody like, oh, he's a Jewish kid. But there's also like when you guys introduce, I don't want to talk about religion, but for example, when you introduce yourself and you're like, oh, he's a Muslim, whatever, you guys will say something. So you were telling me, It's like the same thing. It's like you guys have that in common. It's not like it's some type of like cult or like some crazy fucking thing you got going on. It's just like, oh well, he's a Muslim.
Well, I'll argue right here that Muslims are loyal to Islam above most things as well. which just adds to the problem. I mean, I don't know about America. I'll talk about England, but England, where I grew up in a town which was 80% Muslim, Luton, and Muslims are loyal to Islam above they are loyal to the government, and above their loyalty to England, and above their loyalty to most things. They're loyal to Islam above all things. And I'm not saying they shouldn't be at all. I'm saying that they are. You have to be logical and have conversations without getting emotionally invested like a child and sit and say, okay, do you want X amount of people inside of a country, X amount of subsect of the populace, which are loyal to something different than the country itself, which will change the face of the nation forever? That's the conversation, because everyone's loyal to something. If you have a football team, you have black people, white people, Muslims, Jews, everyone on the same football team. They're loyal to the football team. They all try and win. That's fine, great. But when you're talking about a country, when you have people coming to the country who are loyal to things besides the country, and they're prepared to exploit the country for the benefit of that group instead, then you have to ask yourself, do you want those people in the country at all? That's a pretty sensible conversation to have, isn't it? Like, would I allow someone into my house who didn't have the best intentions for me and the household? I don't think that would make sense.
But that's always going to happen with faith. Muslims are always going to show allegiance to God in front of the nation, because there's nothing that's more important than God. And that's where I see the issue, because that's why I know that Judaism is a false religion, and the same with why I think Christianity is a false religion. But Islam is only pure loyalty to God and God alone. The reason that Judaism, why there's an issue with the power, because I never said it was all Jews that are, I think it is. I think it's the Zionists that show allegiance to the racial aspect of Judaism rather than the religious aspect. And there is no racial aspect in Islam. There's no racial in Islam. As long as you're Muslim, then we're all the same under God. In Christianity, for example, I see what Nick is doing and why it's commendable, but we've disagreed upon this, and why I think that there's a small flaw is that he sees the issue with Zionism and how ethnicity is tied to faith, and it's almost like he wants to do the same thing. And I would like to see what his response to this is. But you see the Zionist problem and how it's tied to ethnicity and faith, and so you talk about how we need white Christians, white Catholics. But there's no idea of whiteness, or there's no idea of race that's written into Catholicism.
Yeah, I mean, my response to that is what we were talking about earlier. There is a tension between the fact that, you're right, Islam and Catholicism are both universal religions, meaning anyone could be a part of it. Judaism is not. Judaism believes that they are a people. If you're according to Jewish law, if your mother is Jewish, you're Jewish. And they really don't encourage conversion. A lot of people don't even recognize conversion. A lot of Jews don't. That's why on Israel, citizenship is awarded on the basis of ethnicity. They call it birthright. If you're born a Jew, you'd be a citizen of Israel. Catholicism says anyone that gets the sacraments is a Christian, and Muslims believe anyone that says the Shahada and does the almsgiving and all those things, you're a Muslim. And the tension is, does that abrogate nationhood and race? And I would say it doesn't. Thomas Aquinas, the Catholic Catechism, they both say that there are distinct, discrete nations. There are real nations. And, a country can have immigrants and take refugees and things like that. But the refugees it takes generations for them to be seen as equal. It says that in the Catechism. Aquinas says that. It says that they have to respect the country and the culture of the people in it. And what we have going on right now isn't even immigration. It is designed to socially engineer the country. And by the way, when America is like 10% white, it's not going to be more Catholic. It's not going to be more Christian. It's going to be barbaric, chaotic. It's going to be a never-ending race war. So the idea that like multiracialism and population transfers has something to do with Catholicism, it doesn't make the world more Catholic. There's nothing in our religion that says we have to accept it. Race is real too, and nationhood is real too. And even within Christendom, you had nations, just like within Islam. I mean, you have a caliphate, but right now you have nations, and there's different sects. You have Shiites and Sunnis and Alawites, and the Houthis are a different type. And, the thing with Zionism is different because they really do believe, according to Kabbalah and the Talmud, according to Rabbi Schneerson, who they believe, the Rebbe, they believe he's the Messiah. A lot of the Hasidic Jews do. He said that Gentiles don't have souls. Like, we're not ensouled in the way that Jews are. And that's why they say we have the Noahide laws, and they have to abide by the Talmud and the Mishnah and all that stuff. So it is like baked into the cake with them. It's an ethno-religion. So the religion and the race are inseparable. And I would say the difference is, by the way, that's why they're given to hatred. They write articles and they say there's a virtue in hating Palestinians. When October 7th happened, they said, kill them all, finish the job. They're inflicting collective punishment. And that's because they don't value human life the same way. A lot of them don't. Catholics say, even our enemies, we pray for them. Even our enemies, especially our enemies, we pray for them and show mercy and compassion. So there is a real, I don't think it's fair to say just because, we don't want a race to die that, it's comparable to Zionism. And Zionism, too, is particularly about the land. They say it's that land, that people, that temple, and restoring the temple so that they can get a Messiah and restart the sacrifices and then rule the world. So there's a victimhood that makes them the way they are. It is also this prophecy. Like, if you read Jewish literature, they're obsessed. They're afraid of assimilation. It's not only that they're afraid of persecution, and they hate Catholic kings because Catholic kings persecuted them, and they hate the Tsar because the Tsar segregated them, and they hate Hitler because Hitler tried to genocide them. But what they also resist is assimilation. They don't want to intermarry. They don't want to adopt everybody's culture. And that's why they've persisted for thousands of years. They're preoccupied with that. And these religious communities, they're preoccupied with staying together, returning to the land, rebuilding the temple, and doing the sacrifices, because it's a temple and a land and a race-based religion. And without all those things, you don't have Judaism. And that's what makes it a real problem. It's like Andrew said it perfectly. When they run our country or they influence our country, it's like Ben Shapiro. Ben Shapiro cares more about Israel than America. And if America were at war with Israel, you know what side he would be on. Should he be influencing our politics? No. And so many of the conservative media, they're literally IDF, like Prager University, huge educational outlet. The CEO is a former Israeli intelligence operative. Do you think, foreign intelligence officers should be manipulating American politics? Obviously, there's a conflict of interest. And that's the problem. It's not a prejudice. I don't hate Jews for being Jews. I actually like them. Some of them are very funny and intelligent. But, when it's about loyalty. Are you loyal to country? Or are you loyal to the people of Israel and world Jewry? For many Jews, it's the latter.
Yeah, this is some of the confusion I've had. Because obviously I'm Islamic, and I agree with SNEAKO about God and saying how Muslims worship God above all things. I respect all of that. But I don't see it as anti-Islamic for me to sit and say, me knowing how Muslims view Islam and knowing how we put that above all things, I understand why Christians wouldn't want us to come to their country. I am logical enough to understand why they wouldn't want people who do not respect their religion to the same degree they do, or don't even respect their laws. They respect Allah's law above the laws of the land. I don't think it's anti-Islamic to say I totally understand why they don't want us to come then. Is that anti-Islamic? What's wrong with that? That makes sense, right? Because it's loyalty to, if you're going to have a country, what you want is loyalty to the nation. This is the thing that the nations, let's say Russia. The reason we hate Russia so much, when I say we, I mean the West. The reason the West hates Russia so much is because they're loyal to Russia. They're loyal to the motherland, and they're prepared to die for it. That's what they hate about Russia. It's just nationalistic. They can't stand that it's nationalistic. And they'll do anything to destroy it for that one reason alone, because nationalism is what they fear, because men are prepared to die on the spot for something. And that's the number one thing they're afraid of. So if you're a Muslim in Russia, because Russia is very multi-ethnic, you can be Islamic, you can be Christian. In fact, a lot of people are surprised by how Islamic Russia is. When I was in Moscow, I saw headscarves everywhere, like Turkey. It's extremely Islamic. But they're all Russian. And they all love Russia. Right? But if you had a sect or a religion in Russia that viewed their religion as above Russia in all ways, I feel like then there'd be some difficulty there. I feel like they still manage to stay nationalistic even though there's different religions. So I understand why white Christians sit and say we don't want Muslims to come here. That doesn't mean I don't believe in Islam. I'm just not personally offended because I just understand their point of view. I don't see what's anti-Islamic about saying I get it.
Well, that's something that white Christians would agree with. They would all put their faith above their nationalism at all times. I don't want white Christian, or just especially Western nations, to make the same mistake that Israel's making, and why they're the source of so much destruction in the world right now and so much warfare. Because if you put allegiance to your nation above allegiance to God, that's how things get corrupted. That's how you see the warfare that's happening right now. Even then, Nick, when you're going off about what's bad about Israel and about how Zionists get corrupted because they don't want intermarriage or they don't want people to assimilate into their culture, aren't those like slight pushback? Aren't those two things that you agree with? Don't you not want people to race mix, and you also don't want much immigration? You don't want people to assimilate or change the white Christian identity in the West?
I don't think it's corrupt. You always talk about corruption. That's like a Islamic theological thing. You talk about the corruption of the Bible and so on. I don't think it's corrupting at all. I think it makes sense because they view their bloodline as very special. And so that they're actually adhering to their religion. That's not a corruption of Judaism. That's a fulfillment of Judaism. You know, the whole Old Testament is about lineage. Like if you go to, on a Christmas Mass, they read out literally the lineage from Adam to Jesus Christ, from the first man until Jesus, and they talk about the whole lineage. They're obsessed with it. And some Jews say they have a book literally of every Jew. For thousands and thousands of years, they have all the names, because there's not very many of them. And so, no, it's not a corruption of their religion. And I would say that, you know, once again, it's like, just because Europe is Christian doesn't mean that Europe doesn't have a right to exist. You know, that's why Europeans evangelized the world. When Europe went out and colonized the world, we brought Christianity. And, you know, the New World was made Christian by the Spanish, and parts of Africa were made Christian by the European colonists. And, you know, we want the world to be Christian, but we don't want the world to be in the only Christian countries, which were up until hundreds of years ago, in Europe, because then there's no more of us. And so, you know, again, I just don't understand. Again, in the Catholic religion, there's nothing that says we can't exist as a nation. On the contrary, you know, Pope Francis said that we should maintain the different nations. He's pro-refugee, thinks we should be compassionate, but he also doesn't believe that, he says that white people should have kids. The Pope said that. So
isn't it a bit hypocritical to say to Christians that as long as people are Christian, they are okay to come into white Christian nations? Considering that even in the Islamic world, we still have countries and we still have borders and we still have sects like Iran and Iraq, and these countries don't even like, a lot of them don't even like each other. A lot of them have gone to war. Like in the Islamic world, we don't say you're Muslim, so everyone's allowed everywhere. In fact, Qatar and Bahrain and Kuwait and some of the richest Islamic nations have the strongest immigration there is. And Dubai UAE doesn't just let anyone in who's Muslim. No, you have to apply and you have to do it right and you have to do it by the law and you're not allowed to break the border. And so I just feel like when we say as Muslims, we put Islam above countries, so as long as you're Muslim, everything's fine. I don't know if most Islamic nations even do that. Isn't that just a lie to try and once again convince Christians to just genocide the white race?
Did you shave your whole body?
Not yet. I gotta do my back too. Sorry, I know it's a little bit disturbing for you guys.
Yeah, it's a bit traumatic. It's first thing in the morning. I don't need to be seeing this shade.
Sorry.
Fine. I've got those black jeans. I've got nothing.
But no, on a serious point, like what Islamic country, and this is a genuine question, as a Muslim, what Islamic country puts Islam above everything else? Because there's tribes in Afghanistan. There's tribes in Iran. Iran is, I mean, I'm not saying the country can't be unified with different ethnicities. They are, but the ethnicities are still recognized. The ethnicities still exist. There's still country borders. There's still immigration laws. There's still all the things that we tell the West are not allowed to have.
And to take that a step further, when Nick is saying about Jews not wanting to intermarry, etc., that a lot of that exists within Muslim countries themselves. There are people in Iraq who don't describe themselves as Iraqi. They say they're Kurds. We're Kurdistan. We need our own country. We need Kurdistan. I'm only going to marry a Kurdish woman because I want to have Kurdish kids. All Muslims, all from the same country, all holding Iraqi passports. There are certain sects, even within Islam and Muslim countries, that don't intermarry and won't date people from outside of their own little culture and their own little area anyway.
So isn't it a massive psyop to then say to Christians, they're a Christian from Rwanda, so just let them come. It's all going to be the same because you're all Christian, because Muslims don't do that.
No, I'm not saying that they should just let in Christians. I'm saying the most important thing has to be the brotherhood within the Ummah. And it's not nationalism. There's nothing that says that you can't be nationalistic, but that's what Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, that's what he was sent to separate. There were all these tribes in the Arabic region, different pagan religions divided from that. When people put their nationalism first, when they said this tribe is the most important thing, that's how they ended up worshiping idols. That's how they ended up being divided. Islam came and that united so many people across the world. Once again, the biggest Islamic country is not even in the Middle East. It's in, I'm pretty sure it's Indonesia.
Yeah.
No, I agree with you. I'm just saying that I try to be fair and balanced in all things. I agree with you. But when I talk to Muslims and they say the Ummah and Islam above all things, I'm like, yeah, that's fine. Saudi Arabia is literally bombing Yemen. Literally. Like, I feel like there's a degree of hypocritical talk that we use, but we don't talk about it really with other Muslims because we understand it. But when we come to Christians, we come along and say, you should just accept everyone. You should, like, as long as they're Christian. I feel like it's hypocritical, and I feel like it's just another attack we use on Christians. The problem with the Christian faith is that it's based on forgiveness. It's based on endless tolerance. That's what it's based on. So I feel like in many ways, Christians are easy to take advantage of. I don't know if you saw our protest when we protested what they said they did about Jesus at the Olympics. I'm in the most Christian nation in the world. It took me and my brother to do that. And the other Christians I knew, I was telling them about it, and they were all like, yeah, they'll see in the afterlife. It's very placid. There's too many cheeks to turn. And I just feel like sometimes when we talk to Christians as Muslims, or people in general, when you talk to Christians, you're just weaponizing their tolerance against them. And especially sometimes it can be hypocritical. I'm trying to think of an Islamic nation where I can turn up and say, well, I'm a Muslim, just let me in. And I don't think that's going to happen.
Right, but that's not that shouldn't be representative of Islam. Because one thing we all agree upon, even if the leaders, they make mistakes, and we all make mistakes, the leaders are not representative of the religion as a whole. So we all understand, even though that Saudi may be bombing Yemen, or there's divisions between Shia Sunni, we still believe that there's nothing that is supposed to unite us besides Islam. That's always going to supersede nationalism.
Well, yeah, and we believe that as Christians, but we also believe in nations. Catholicism, if you look at the Christian religion, it's very against the idea of globalism. It's against the idea of global government. It's against the Tower of Babel. It is a story of tribes. And it is true that, Christ came and said, you're neither Greek nor Jew, and man and woman. But that's true in a spiritual sense. We are still men and women. We are still Jew and Greek, or Jew and Gentile, and we are still one nation and another nation. And it's interesting about the Israelis. They wrote something in the 80s. There's an article that was written back then by this guy named Oded Yanan, and he analyzed all the weaknesses of the Muslim countries. He actually said, he was a senior advisor to someone who eventually became the prime minister. He said, actually, the real threat to Israel aren't the Muslim countries at all. He said it's moral relativism, it's communism, it's nuclear weapons. He said Muslim countries are only the imminent threat. He said, but they will never last. And in each case, he said the systemic weaknesses of every Muslim country was their diversity. He said Syria has Alawites, Kurds, and Sunnis. Iraq has Sunni, Shia, and Kurds. He said Lebanon is realistically like 5 countries in one. He said Saudi Arabia is not even a real country. It's all these tribes and foreign workers ruled over by a very precarious king. Egypt has way too many Christians. Libya has a small population. And this guy, and this has formed the basis of Israeli foreign policy. This is your Iraq war, Syrian civil war. He said, we're going to systematically rip apart these countries on the basis of their diversity. And so I think that, look, if we want to organize as human beings into strong, stable, healthy societies, homogeneity is a part of it. It's conducive to a community. It's conducive to a good way of living, to have people with commonality. And there's something that's good and there's something that's decent about that, seeing race as extended family. I think that's part of honor your mother and father. Are you really honoring your mother and father if you intermarry and dump all their traditions? Your parents are one way, you marry somebody else. Now your kids are some completely different culture, different color, different everything. There's something that strikes me as wrong about that. So, and it's true, Islam, the Muslim world is not globalist at all. It's very nationalistic. It's extremely tribalistic. It's sectarian. There's big religious differences. And so, that's something, ironically, people like Destiny, like liberals will say, oh, you're Christian? Well, what do you want to live in, a country with 100 million white atheists or 100 million black Christians? And they think that's like a gotcha. But it's like, I'd rather live in the country with the white people, and then I'd like to evangelize them because I'm white and I think white people should exist. The real question is, do you think white people should be genocided, or do you not? And I don't think there's anything Christian about saying they should. I don't think God would smile upon that. especially given that, white people evangelize the world and systematize the religion and so on. So it is like kind of an anti-white. The thing, like, they're not running out of Arabs. They're always making more Arabs. White people are in short supply. You'd probably feel differently if it was reversed.
That's true, but would you
You're
say
not
the
Arab,
same
though.
thing if you couldn't evangelize the white atheists? Would the answer stay the same?
Well, that's at that point, it's like a would you rather with this conditional. If you couldn't evangelize whites and it had to be all whites or all blacks,
If they stayed atheists,
I don't know. Well, that would just be impossible because we believe that everybody's receptive to the grace of God. So it's just like it's a hypothetical that's impossible.
That's fair. I mean, the pushback, I think it was small. I mean, people have seen the war that's going on Twitter. And I think it all started from the cat eating videos and the dog eating videos, and then that video of Trump going around saying they're eating the dogs, eating the cats. The major pushback, and people started saying I'm a sellout, which is that there was no evidence of that happening. Like, I'm not saying that we should allow refugees to go. There's no evidence of that.
But there is, though.
No, the video that went around that went viral was an African-American woman. It was a black woman. It wasn't even a Haitian. There's no specific evidence of Haitians eating cats and dogs in America. No,
Yes, there is. If you look, you could find it for sure. There's 100%.
Show me.
I mean, it's on X. You look through X, you can find anything nowadays.
The video that went viral that then Trump started talking about at the debate, that was an African-American woman.
I'm just saying, in general, you could definitely find videos of that, 100%.
Of Haitians eating cats in America?
100%. I can find one right now, bro, if I wanted to. Someone in my community could find it.
And actually, I'd argue, just my last bit on this point, even if I find videos of Haitians eating cats in Haiti, I don't want 6% of the Haitian population over in America.
Facts.
It doesn't matter where they are. If they're doing it anywhere, I don't want the people who eat cats near my daughter's cat here, you know?
Right.
Yeah, I think also one of the things we're overlooking here, you talk about religion, you talk about nationalism, and we talk about, race a lot. And I don't think there's anything wrong with wanting to feel an affinity to the people around you. Humans are social creatures. So when we try and get Nick with this question, do you want to be the only outcast in a society? Well, not really. I mean, I'd like to feel affinity with the people around me. And if they look like me, I feel more affinity to them. I think that's kind of an unfair question. But the other point I want to make here is, I feel like a lot of it is just simply down, because we talk about religion, we talk about countries, we talk about all these different things, but really it's down to just interest. You need to have a common interest as a population. I said earlier about a football team. You can have a football team of different races and religions because they have a common interest and a common goal. And I think what the West is losing now is we don't have a common interest and a common goal, which is what makes the melting pot such a problem. Because when you don't have a common interest and common goal, perhaps you can find a common interest in something as banal and simple and easy to see as race. Race is very easy to observe. Religion's very easy. It's easy. They're the same as me. They're the same as me. The same as me. That wasn't as important when you had a common goal. If you think about, the point I'm getting to with this, which is kind of unfortunate, is I feel like one of the only things that unifies people truly is struggle. Because if you look at Iran has a massive problem with different ethnicities. But the reason they manage to keep it all under control is because it's us versus them. They have an enemy. And when you unify everybody behind an enemy, you can unify the population. Russia the same. Russia has crazy amounts of ethnicities and religions and languages and time zones. But they have enemies. It's Russia versus the world. So when you have an enemy that is formidable, you can unify people behind one ideal. And when you unify people behind one ideal, race, religion become a lot less important because they have a common goal, a common objective. So perhaps in the West, I know I love these conversations about mass remigration, all this stuff. It's a nice conversation, but it's never going to happen. Never in a million years. So surely it's more constructive to say, well, then we need a common goal of some sort that everybody buys into. The problem is that's difficult when you have people with different versions of history and different religions and different cultural backgrounds and different languages and different upbringings and then it becomes a lot more difficult. But you need something that's unifying people at least.
There's a massive difference to me, having lived all over the world, and I'm a nomad. I'm half black, quarter Irish, but I'm a mongrel who's a mix of everything. So I understand that the white nationalists hate me and the black BLM people hate me, and I don't fit in anywhere, and that's fine. But as a man who's observed the world from all these various perspectives, there's a huge difference between Western white people and Eastern white people. And what Western white people need to learn from Eastern white people is this. See, Nick, you're white, and British and French and Spanish will be like, oh, well, we're white, and blacks are coming to our country, and go up to a Romanian and say, hey, bro, where are you from? You look Hungarian. To you, that doesn't make any difference. They will try to punch you in the face. They have this nationalism where go to a Serb and say, bro, you from Bosnia? You Albanian? Albanians, is Kosovo part of Serbia? They will lose their fucking minds, right? Eastern white people have this, like Andrew was saying about these thick cultures and these traditions. They're not just a bunch of white people who can be replaced by black people. Polish people are Polish people, and they don't want Romanians in their country. Romania has a border with Bulgarians. How many Bulgarians have you ever seen in this country in 10 years? Zero, because they can't fucking stand each other. No, we're Latins, you're Slavs. To you guys, I completely get it. They look the same. They look the same to me. They've got some of the same last names and some of the same traditions, etc. But here they're extremely very different. I think the West needs to bring this back, because before we start looking at things, I'll speak as a British man for a moment, before we start looking at things of, oh, well, he's black, he's white, it's fine to be here. No, why the fuck should the French be allowed to be here? This is England. In fact, when the Eurotunnel was being built, everyone forgets this, because it was lost just 1.5, 2 generations ago. When the Eurotunnel was being built underneath the English Channel, there were protests from old white men who fought in World War II, holding picket signs saying, no, let's not connect our continent with France, because if we connect our continent with France and they surrender to the Germans again, the Germans can march over, or even worse, the French could invade us like they tried to do in 1815. There was this old school, we're British, they're French nationalism that I think the Western white people need to bring back, because that's the first step of loving and respecting your country.
Yeah, but they can't do. The problem with that is the problem with that is that it's interesting. I guess what I'm going to deduce from what you just said, though, do we agree that if America had a country that was all 100% white, that there'd be new divides drawn somehow? That there'd be, oh, well, yeah, but you're Northern, I'm Southern, or you're blue eye, I'm brown eye. Aren't humans just determined to constantly go into smaller and smaller groups and just constantly dislike and distrust the other groups?
That's a great point.
Romania has 3 or 4 groups itself.
Yeah, but we talk about the West and, white people in the West, etc. Only 50 years ago, the English hated the Irish. They couldn't stand them. If the Irish were in England, they were treated like dogs. There were signs everywhere, no Irish. Now, the English would do anything to be full of Irish. So it's kind of interesting. Maybe human nature is to constantly divide into smaller and smaller and smaller groups unless you have some kind of unifying factor. Then the real complicated question is, what is that unifying factor? Because the only thing I can think of in the world that exists today that unifies people is a huge and scary threat, like Russia, like Iran, like Israel. When they feel genuinely threatened, they can unify behind an ideal to protect themselves. And they can ignore all the different cultural discrepancies to try and self-preserve. Like the Russians do, like the Iranians do, like the North Koreans do. Although they're all one race, it's a bad example. But North Korea is kept together by the threat of the West. That's the reason he's constantly talking on the news that America's going to kill us all. That's the way he maintains control. That's how you maintain control, is them versus us. So I feel like perhaps if we had to try and fix the West somehow, you'd have to try and convince them there was a genuine threat that was coming to destroy them and try and unify everybody against it. But that's the hard part, because especially in the West now, there'd be an X amount of the population who would be welcoming the threat in and saying it's a good idea for some reason. It's difficult because everybody thinks so differently. It's an interesting thought experiment. I'm just trying to understand how the world is the way it is.
Well, it's happening now. A lot of people from the left and the right, the first time that we're really agreeing on something major is the issue of Israel. People see the debate stage, they see J.D. Vance and Tim Walz get on stage, and immediately there's just a glaze off for Israel. Same thing, Trump right now. Of course, a lot of us, we agree with Trump on quite a bit, but we're wondering, why do we see an equal amount of Israeli flags as American flags? If you're going to talk about an existential threat that people are going to unite against, I think we're seeing it right now. And I think you bring up a great point about the constant need to divide ourselves, because even up until maybe 60, 70 years ago, Irish people were drinking at the fountain with me and Jake and you and Andrew and Tristan. Irish people were considered black too. Italians were not considered the original white people. I think the whites who founded America, or the new America, they considered white people back then to be people from the Slavic region, people from the Netherlands, and some people from the UK, whereas a lot of the other places, they weren't considered white either. So naturally, we're always going to find ways and factions to divide ourselves. If it became a strictly white country, immediately they would say north and south is different. They'd say people from this region. We're always going to find something. We're very tribalistic as people. The only unifying force that I've seen is the idea of God. And that's what was so great about Yay 24 again. When we all had this conversation, is what is going to get rid of all these problems that's destroying the West right now when it comes to feminism, when it comes to Zionism, when it comes to liberalism, is some sort of return to tradition, is some sort of religious doctrine.
No, though, I mean, the thing is about America, it's true. I mean, America was basically a white racial country up until the 70s. It was 90% white, and it was a lot of Italians and a lot of Germans and a lot of English and French and a lot of different kinds of white people. And there certainly are differences between the kinds of whites. And even, like, for example, with Italians, there's people that came from northern Italy and people that came from southern Italy. And there's people that came from Sicily and people that came from Calabria. And there were differences. Even in Minnesota and in the Dakotas, you have people from Sweden and people from Norway, and they had cultural differences up there. But there's also this question of proximity. There's obviously a much smaller difference between Finns and Swedes and Nords or Norwegians than there is between Norwegians and Nigerians or Norwegians and Australian Aboriginals. And that's just kind of the thing, is like America was a certain way with white people. You bring in a bunch of foreign-born people that don't speak English, have no history of democracy or anything that they had in Europe, Christendom, all those things, it's going to be a radically different place. I agree, though, with Andrew that America is an empire. Let's just face it. It's what it is. The idea that it's a republic or a nation is very old school. It's been an empire for about 100 years. Russia's a multi-ethnic empire. China's a multi-ethnic empire. The biggest countries typically are the ones with the most land because they have complicated histories and all kinds of things. So Russia does have a lot of Muslims. It has a lot of Mongolians. It has a lot of Asiatic type people. China has like 4 peripheral states. It's got Uyghurs, Mongolians, Manchurians, all of that. But there is an identity of the country. When we think of China, we think of a Han Chinese person. We don't think of East Turkestan. We think of Russia, we think of the Slavs. We think of Putin. We don't necessarily think of the people in the Caucasus. We don't think of the Muslims. And I think the same can be said about America. I think that that's how America was with whites and blacks. You had whites, you had blacks, you had some Hispanics in the South, you had Asians in the West, and that was kind of the family. But now the country is fundamentally changing where it's about half white, half non-white. And the fundamental question is, well, who are we now? Because now the people here, it is like a ton of Hispanics who got here within 2 or 3 generations. They don't speak English. They're forming ethnic enclaves. They have different values. And now here come the Asians. Here come the Indians and the Chinese. And it's like in 50 years when the population's 30%, 40% foreign-born, first or second generation, what are going to be the commonalities? It's going to be different religions, languages, cultures, ethnic enclaves battling it out. And that's where you almost need something like a segregation or a federalization, like an ethnic federalization, where you can still have a part of America that's white. The American Southwest, arguably, at one time it was a little white, but it was always pretty Hispanic. Okay, that's the Hispanic area. And Miami's like a Latin American island. It's like a Caribbean country. Okay, that's fine. But we still need places in America where you can go where it's like it used to be, where it's baseball and apple pie and stuff like that. And I think that's really the problem. It's not even necessarily that it's becoming more diverse, but that it is the forced integration, and it's like Andrew said earlier, there are black neighborhoods in Chicago. No one wants to go there. And that way of life is perfectly maintained. It's white areas that are being destroyed and eroded. And the idea that, if we lose them here and they're losing them in Europe and Canada, where are we going to go? It's going to be Asia, India, Mexico, Africa, everywhere in the world other than here. Where's our homeland? I
think America's lost something very, very important. And if we take England for an example, I'd start with the question, why would anybody want to be American? I'm saying that right now. This is 2024, right? Let's take England as an example, because fundamentally I'm English. I grew up in England. That's my country, right? Immigration worked wonderfully once. Once it worked wonderfully. After World War II, and I tricked a friend of mine, Marcel, some black guy. I said, well, your great-grandfather moved to England, didn't he? He went, yeah. I said, where did he move from? He said, Jamaica. I said, no, he didn't. He moved to England from the British Empire. The British Empire was everywhere. Jamaica, India, etc. And all the immigrants, I have to say, who came over after World War II, started shops, businesses, became lawyers, doctors, bankers. It's where this myth comes from, where when you see a boat full of brown people, oh, they're doctors and engineers and lawyers. No. The Indians from the British Empire were coming over to become doctors and lawyers. The Jamaicans from the British Empire came over to run shops and food restaurants, etc., and work jobs and become electricians. When you took the British Empire away, and you took the love for all things British and the flag and the crown away, and you start letting black and brown people in from the same countries, India and Jamaica, from the same countries, but 1.5 generations separated for their love of all things British, suddenly, it's a big stab fest where Jamaicans are cutting each other up and slitting their throats in London instead of opening fast food businesses. So, in 2024, I'll ask you as an American, why would anyone want to be American? Because I get it in the 1930s, 40s. America's the hero of the world. They saved the world from Nazism, etc., etc. All the Italians are coming over. Everyone's coming over to America to integrate, to be American, to live the American dream. I feel like without the American version of the crown, like we once had, that made people aspire to want to be British, people coming over to America just see it as some bitch to be exploited. They're not thinking, I want to be a part of this. And why should people want to be a part of it, is, I guess, my question to you.
Well, everyone's just chasing money in America. That's what I said earlier. Everyone's just going there for money. And when that means you're trying to extract. I mean, you have to build to make money, but truthfully, you're trying to extract, especially if you're going to send it home to your home country. I'm just trying to rack my brain and trying to work out what can unify people behind an idea besides war, because Iran feels threatened because of war and Russia feels threatened because of war. So I'm sitting there thinking, if I had to fix America, what could I unify people behind? I use Dubai as an example. It's not a completely fair example because it only has 5 million people and America has 400 million. So it probably wouldn't work when you extrapolate it out. But one thing Dubai does have is, because it does have unifying factors. Dubai is 80% immigrants, all different religions, all different colors from all different parts of the world. And a lot of it is third world as well. And it's still extremely safe, even though you have third worlders there. What unifies people? Well, we can talk about the fact that people want money, but that's the same reason they go to America. You can talk about the fact that people earn more money than they do at home, and that's the same as America. But I feel like Dubai has one other thing. The state religion and the native populace are respected and feared. And I feel that's the one thing America does not have. You do not go to Dubai and insult Islam, and you also don't go to Dubai and insult the Arabs, ever. In fact, if you get in a car crash and you hit an Arab, it was your fault, no matter what. You did it. So maybe if America just had enforced respect for the state religion.
A two-tier system.
And well, to a degree, it's a two-tiered system. Correct. It's a two-tiered system, but it works. But in America, you can't do that. You're saying you don't have to respect our religion and you don't have to respect our native populace. Can that even ever function long term, to invite all these different people that nothing can unify them? You can't find any cause they'll unify behind besides literally nuclear war. Even then, even in the state of nuclear war, if America got hit with a nuke, Americans would turn on each other. It'd be rioting. 5 seconds. So nothing can unify Americans.
Finna get me some Nikes.
Finna get me some. Nothing can unify them at all. And I'm saying that if you're going to try and have that population, which is so diverse, and you're not even going to enforce respect for the state religion and the native populace, then how can it even function? Can it ever work? I don't know.
That's what they do in like Singapore and the Emirates and these like rich city states. They have carefully managed the demographics, and there is a certain primacy afforded to the native people. You know, and in America, I'd be fine with something like that. And it wouldn't even necessarily come with more or less rights, but just a recognition of like, this is what America is. And other people can be here, but they're not going to fundamentally change the identity in the same way that, you know, in Russia, they're never going to take away the Russian Orthodox Church. They're never going to take away the love of being Slavic or Slavic culture. People can be there. They could have their own regions with some autonomy. I think people would be fine with that in America. But the problem is that, you know, it's like you said, it's the opposite. There's a hatred that people come here, they come here to take advantage of the benefits of citizenship while hating the founders and saying, oh, the founders were slave owners. This is an imperial empire. They're all pieces of shit. They want to recolonize or uncolonize or undo the settlement that we put here. And that's really the problem. I think I speak for a lot of white people when I say if there was a ton of diversity, but the minorities were grateful. I'm talking about the foreign born, not the descendants of slaves necessarily, although they should be grateful too, because they're not in Africa. But if the foreign born came here and they were grateful and they were respectful and there was a sense of deference because they're guests or visitors or new, there'd be far less of a problem. It's that they come here, they burn the flag, they don't say the Pledge of Allegiance. And I've seen it in Chicago. Chicago was never a Mexican city. Now it's a third Mexican. They don't stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. They don't learn to speak English. When it's Mexican Independence Day, like it was a week ago, they take over the city with their celebrations. It goes all night. They jam up the traffic. They're shooting people on the bridge. And white people go, hey, what the fuck? Get out. Like, you're a guest and you're being rude. And it wasn't like that 100 years ago. Europeans would come here and kiss the ground when they got off the fucking boats because they were grateful to be here. And that's the equation. If there's gonna be harmony, that's the equation that needs to change. And people say, I'm Mexican, I'm Italian. That's how I feel about the founding stock. And when my ancestors came here, they assimilated. They didn't go and live in enclaves where they only speak Italian and so on. They learned to speak English. They lost the accent. They loved the flag. They fought in the war. They gave their lives for the country. And you just can't have that when they're coming in 10 million in 4 years. Who's ever going to assimilate or love the country? And when they're, and it's like you said, who's coming here? It's people looking to take advantage. And those people will never be loyal Americans. So it's a lot of good observations. It's a complicated problem. It's not as simple as whites only, everyone out. It's a complex problem.
It definitely is a complex issue, but I think a good example of how this could work is a nation like Bosnia. Bosnia is, although it's predominantly Muslim, it's got to be 99% white. And when I was there, I went 3 times in about a month because nobody looked at me as if I was an other. As soon as I said salam alaikum and they said walaikum salam, they looked at me as if I was one of them because that always would transcend it. Like, they have strong immigration. You can't go there and break the law. But this nation here, although it's predominantly white, what supersedes that is faith. And I think
However,
that's
the reason for that, I don't know, am I cutting out?
no, you're good.
I'm good. Sorry.
The threat.
The reason for that is because you're so rare. If a million Arabs turned up in Bosnia, the Bosnians would have a problem with that. I personally believe.
And it's not just that. The point Andrew was making earlier about an existential threat to your existence, unifying countries together. They don't see you as an existential threat, SNEAKO, but there are Bosnians to this day with guns hidden underground, thinking that any day now the Serbs are going to roll across their border and exterminate them. They're held together in the same way North Korea is, that Russia is, that Iran is. If you, I mean, you've spent some time in Bosnia, more time than me technically, but I have a lot of Bosnian friends. They are held together by this existential threat of they're going to wipe us out. So when you're there as a Muslim, you're not the face of what's scary to them. But Andrew's right. If 20,000 Arabs moved there, or 20,000 people who looked like you moved there, they would see you as a threat. Their threat, their people they're afraid of look just like them, but worship a different God.
There also isn't many. A lot of it, people think that, you know, white people or Western people are inherently racist. They're really not. They just get pissed off when the numbers get distorted. I can talk from personal experience. Let me tell you about Romania. I moved to Romania 10 years ago. When I moved here, there was nobody who wasn't Romanian.
Nobody.
Everyone was Romanian. And back then, they were intrigued and amazed. In fact, they loved that I liked their country. They were super welcoming. Why did you come here? Wow, nobody likes Romania. I love that you love it here. Try some food. They were super welcoming. Now, as time goes on, more and more people are coming here. Romanians are starting to get racist. Why? I don't think they've ever been different. They're just seeing more and more people that aren't them. And now they're getting pissed off about it. When it was only me, it was fine. But when there's a whole bunch, then they get angry. And I think that's human nature. I don't think that these people have changed from non-racist to racist. They just see their demographic changing. And people are naturally unhappy with that. I don't see why they shouldn't be.
The reason that they get that way is because the people that are coming in, you both pointed out properly. I mean, because they're coming in, they're not respecting it. They're not coming in with the idea of God. They're not acting with godly values. They're coming just to use the place. And you brought up the example in Bosnia, if there were 20,000 Arabs that came in, they would feel differently. They actually did. During the Bosnian genocide in the early 90s, Arabs came to help fight the war against the Serbs. So that's a good example that although Serbs and Bosnians are technically of the same ethnicity, within that war, there was more unity between the Muslims there and the Arabs there. They didn't even speak the language. They came to fight there just because they saw that the genocide was about faith and it wasn't about ethnicity.
Yeah, but we also want to be with people that we are similar to, you know, like when you were defending the Haitians, you were doing, I don't know, you're speaking Haitian or something, Haitian Creole or something. And I'm sure that when you're with your parents, your extended family, you know, you have this vibe of like a family party and you do things the way Haitians do or Philippines do or Hungarians do or whatever it is. In the same way that me, you know, my mom's Italian. She was in an Italian neighborhood. All her friends are Italian. There's like Italian stuff that we do. It's like who we are. And if I were separated from that forever, if I were in a community where it's all people like you, no offense, I like you, you're a good guy, but you're not like me in those critical ways. I'd be a stranger, I'd be a foreigner. The way you guys do things, that's not the way I would do things. They're unfamiliar to me. And there's something like heartbreaking about that. There's something heartbreaking about being dislocated in that way. I think that's a big reason why white people are killing themselves, because they're socially dislocated. When you look at like all these other peoples, they take immense pride in their ethnic food, celebrations, language, culture. There's a real sense of family. Even if they're poor, even if they're low IQ, they're down to party, and they're party with all their abuelas and their cousins and all that kind of stuff. I'm partially Mexican. We do it too. We call it the picnic. It's a big picnic with Mexicans. It's what we do.
Nick.
Go ahead.
Nick, Jake, Andrew, Tristan. It's about that time, man. I gotta catch some Z's, but.
All right, we didn't get Myron on. I just saw the chat asking for Myron. Next time, let's get Myron in.
Andrew, I love you and I miss you, honey buns. And Tristan, you know it's all love too. You know what I'm saying?
Gay, bro.
Why do you make everything gay?
Hey, why can't it just be on some brother shit? Hey, Andrew, can me and SNEAKO come to Romania?
Perhaps. I don't know. SNEAKO called me a Jew, so I mean, I know he thinks Strickland can't knock him out, but he doesn't really want my smoke. We'll see.
It wasn't Jew as an insult. It was the idea of supremacy, but I understand that.
I'll say you are a Jew.
Yeah. Aiden, if you come here, I'm going to tell the cops it was all you. The human trafficking operation was all your idea.
The Jews did it. The Jews did it.
Oh, I gotta go. The group chat's calling me now. So,
All right, G.
all right, guys.
Good to see you guys.
All right, guys.
All right.
So long.